Good morning, chat. Welcome in. Bad romance? Hell yeah, it's fucking bad romance, baby. Specifically, it's the cover by Hailstorm. The best version. The best version. And don't you fucking forget it, baby. Don't you fucking forget it. Ordain with the 80 stream streak and honeybees. Honeybees with the 5 stream streak. Armstrong!
Making a mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't spread over every egg.
And there's my wife throwing ass as usual. Throwing ass as usual. Watch the door frame thing. Forget what? My brain is broken? Huh? Who? What? Where are we? Who are you people? Why are you in my house? Why are you in my office? How did you get here? What are you doing in here? God only knows. You break one door one time. Was it one time? And was it only a door? Was it only a door? Are we sure? Are we sure that that was the only thing that it was? Do I need to, let me just, here, we'll just let me, then we can just go ahead, resize this a little bit. Yes. Yeah. Guilty. Guilty. Exhibit A, Your Honor. But welcome in, chat. How's your day going? Listen, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you, Hectic, for drawing this again. And yes, I do have it saved. I could never sit down for the rest of my life. Yeah, you can only go from standing to floor time, and that is it. There's no in between. There's no in between. All right, we're gonna go to full chat instead of the desk right now. I need to turn the music down in my ears because I'm like subconsciously shouting over it. Welcome in, guys. How are you doing today? What trouble have you been getting into? What shenanigans were you up to? How was your Thursday? Yes, Thursday. That is what today is. I got to some of my Lego backlog last night. Lego backlog, as in like stuff that you needed to build, like it's a 40K, like it's a 40K backlog or a like Gundam backlog. The pile of shame, if you will. I'd like to do miniature kits and stuff like that. I said I want to do dioramas, and god damn it, someday we're going to start making Dark Carnival dioramas. We're going to make the flesh pit, chat. We're going to make the flesh pits. Shh. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, guys. I got a D&D session tonight. Play a better game. No, but really, have fun. I'm glad people are playing TTRPGs. But god damn it, if I had my way, D&D would have burned down years ago. Faye can lay on the floor. Faye can lay on the floor. I said she can only go from standing to floor time. There's no in between. There's no longer sitting. There's no longer slouching. There's no longer like leaning a little bit to one side. It's standing completely straight up or it's floor. D&D doesn't exist beyond 3.5. You say that like 3.5 was anything special. You say that like 3.5 wasn't hot trash too. Electric Boogaloo. I was trying to check out your Green Punk Wife's YouTube, but it's not working. Did Sai change her channel name? Hold on. It works for me. Wait, was that the video that started? Yeah, it works for me. It works totally fine over here. Totally loads A-okay, baby. A-okay. Ain't nothing to worry about. I clicked it and nothing happened. Try copying it and putting it into a tab. That's weird. It works for me. It works both in OBS and in my regular browser. Working my way up to 30. Smudge. No, Bob. Bob, no. Oh my goodness. Now I got Dancing Baby Groot on my desk. Wait. A Lego version? Or fucking ordained with all the city emotes. Oh, good lord. All right. Wait, what is this? Oh. Uh-oh. 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 What is this? This is not something we checked out in the big beautiful bill when we read it yesterday. Razor thin vote 215 to 214. Are you shitting me? Oh no, they expanded pre-existing conditions. It's so cold in this house. That's my Ryzen 9 7945 HA's running at 70 degrees. That's actually kind of impressive. Oh no, 70 degrees Celsius. Never mind. Jesus. The horrors weren't the Twinkvids or whatever it was. It's just normal real life stuff. I was lied to. No, listen, that is the worst part. The worst part is, yeah, the most horrifying stuff is the most realistic. Hold on. All Medicaid and all CHIP, aka Children's Health Insurance Program funding for gender affirming care, including puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and surgeries, not just for youth, but for trans people of any ages. There it is. We're just trying to protect kids and everybody else that's like them. Do not worry. I know. I went to pick up my new supplies and I had to pay for my new injection supplies a couple days ago, and I had to pay for them for the first time since I've been going to this clinic because they lost all their funding. Granted, injection supplies are cheap, but it kind of sucks. To waiter with the Kofi today. True. Do we need to talk about the goals again? I don't think we talked about the goals that much yesterday, so it's time to do my little bit of shilling because we didn't do any yesterday, except speed run it. Let me go ahead and get it back up. Where are you? There you is. All right, hold on. I gotta resize this shit. Okay, thank you, Journey. Thank you, Journey, for screaming in my ears. Okay. And keep it secret, chat, but Sheik around's 32 subs away. It's 32 subs away. Oh, shit. Did you know if you throw money at Kofi, you can get married to his way safer place to live so she can keep getting all her healthcare? Yeah. It's great. It's fantastic. We're also, I think that still says 48%. So we're still 2% away from the 50, which is the 1K there, which is a 12-hour stream, which we'll do as soon as we're settled at the new place. If we hit the 2K over here, it will more than likely, basically what it'll more than likely be a 36-hour stream. And I'm going to try to actually plan the whole thing out like I did my first birthday that we had on stream, which I think technically, according to Twitch achievements, is still my most popular stream. We peaked in year one, chat. We peaked in year one, apparently. But I think that was also the first time I played a game with Zombie Guts, aka Ash. And the first time Makari raided me, I'm pretty sure. Keep the ringleader in healthcare. Ugh. Does the US actually have healthcare? I'm not so sure anymore. Eyes. Okay, I'll give you eyes. There we go. We have the food crime, which we're actually going to put maybe a wheel together. We'll probably vote on it. I'll probably get a bunch together and we'll figure out what heinous food crime I am going to do. If it's going to be the variety pilk flight, if it's going to be, the peanut butter, eggs, and tangerines, heinous shit, or if we're going to have a stupid foods day and we're going to go scrolling through the top list of r/stupid foods. Healthcare, easy money. I made some new memes today. I thought I saw you post something, but I couldn't find it. I clicked the tab and I was like, I'll watch that later. And then I was like, wait, I kind of want to know what it is. Is it in memes? What the fuck? What is that? Grant, what the fuck is that? My mind's like, I have too many eyes, so I can't technically go cross-eyed, but I felt like I went cross-eyed there for a second. Would have melted even the best processors. Now it's just normal. Thanks, Ryzen, and your extremely hot processors for some fucking reason. Would you rather have unlimited bacon but no more Marin, or Marin unlimited Marin but no more Marin? Yes. Were you having a stroke? What was that? Was that a stroke? Do you want to talk about it? Strong. Name's Grins. Gronk. Ugh, wait, never mind. I take that back. I don't like that. Ugh, gross. 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 Okay, hold on. Where were we? Oh, voice pack. That's going to be a free and alert voice pack. I'm going to put that on Ko-fi. It's going to be up basically permanently. So if anybody wants any alerts or any neat stuff or wants to like edit the audio, that is going to be up to you to do. Dad Go Round returns. If you are a regular here, then you remember the Dad Go Round streams. It is not me bringing my dad on, because fuck that old man. Don't you dare Twitter AI me. Listen, it's fine. Grink. But Dad Go Round streams is basically a day where I take chat on, and we play games that basically feel like you were going on a trip with Dad. So we're gonna go play fishing games. We're gonna get up early. We're gonna pack some coffee. We'll make a little picnic. We'll have sandwiches, and we're gonna go fishing. We're gonna make some PB&Js. PB&Js sitting by the lake with Dad. Good memories. Good memories. Even if it involved a lot of yelling, it's fine. Put a mustache on and fishing hat. Dad to puss. Dad to puss. Do we need to get everybody in on this? As many people as I can for Dad Day. I bring the stroopwafels. Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We'll have to introduce Ordain to a PB&J. My dad never took me fishing. It was more my aunt for me. That makes sense. Yeah, I had more fun. Like, that side of my family was very much into fishing. Grandpa, uncles, dad, they were all very much into fishing. Going fishing with my dad was the last person I ever wanted to go with. Even then, sometimes we would go fishing, like, we'd go late night catfishing. Not the illegal kind, but actually like late night when the catfish come up the water column and you can catch really big ones just after the sun's gone down, with my cousin, and then we'd fry them the next day. My dad went fishing. Damn it, boy, can't you be quiet? You're scaring fish. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Second band. Second band's coverage for the same services under the Affordable Care Act by excluding them from the definition of essential health benefits. So if you have an ACA health plan, you no longer can get any sort of affirming care. Drake Rider, thank you for buying a season pass. Holy shit, welcome in. Enjoy the cutest and scariest emotes on Twitch. And we are now 21? 31. 31. 31 subs away from Sheep Go Round, aka forcing a horror streamer to play Hello Kitty Island Adventure again. Uncle covered fishing trips for me. Dad wasn't around, thankfully. Yeah. 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 The moonlight. Alright. But, when a catfish tried to swallow my foot, it what? Huh? Pardon? Want to run that by me again, Yozo? What were you doing to a catfish that it tried to swallow your foot? Going by what I've heard, there's nothing could have stopped my grandfather from fishing. Even my mom having a fish allergy couldn't stop him. Forcing Baron doesn't want to sheep go round. Listen, this is how it works. This is how it works, Sunstar. Annie, thank you for the 175 stream streak. Holy shit. Damn. Damn. All right. Ooh, okay. Okay. Sheep the go round. Oh no, they're gonna sheep me, chaps. They're gonna shear me. My hair. I used my foot as bait. My cousin was on the other side and he grabbed a tail. Huh? Okay, I guess that makes sense. I mean, koi fish are technically carp. So you know. Also, did y'all know apparently one of the most famous patterns of koi fish that sell for like thousands upon thousands of dollars was apparently made in Hiroshima? And no, I don't mean like, oh, yeah, of course they were breeding in Hiroshima. That makes sense. That's a big city. No. The pattern didn't appear until after people came back to the city post nuclear bomb and found that some of the new koi had strange patterns, which is like the calico pattern. I think it's Akami! Snack! Oh my goodness, snack? Snack? Snack wife? All right, I did refill my water before stream started, so I have a fresh bottle of water. Mutant fish, baby, mutant fish. Nuclear farming and gardening was in fact a thing. Also, Ora Lakari, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Snack, 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 snack. Time to give some fish new designs. No, ordain. Samuel L. Jackson. I want these go sheep off this Baron Go boat. Oh my god. You should be asleep. Why are you awake, Miss Ma'am? Are you off tomorrow? What's tomorrow? Saturday. Yeah, you're probably off tomorrow. No. Yes, it's gonna be Saturday for you. It's just early morning, right? I think. Or I don't remember. I'm bad at time zones. Give the Feemsh of new. It's Friday. No, it's not. It's Thursday. I'm stupid. No, it's not almost Saturday. It's fucking almost Friday for you. Why did I think today was Friday? I thought for a split second today was Friday. That's a nice boat. That is a nice boat. Okay, I was right. It was early morning next day. My brain, for some reason, I was like, today's Friday, therefore it's almost Saturday over there. No. 2:21. Okay, so you are 14 hours ahead. Good to know. But hold on, let me see. I'm just trying to read this other thing. Okay. Yeah, and then it'll be 13 hours. Aura, welcome in. Holy shit, you were scouting a raid, you fucking goofball. Welcome in, raiders. How are you? How was your stream? Let me see. Hello? Where's my Oh, there it is. Repo. You're playing Repo. Ooh. Did you have fun? Damn daylight savings mucking things up. No 15? Can we spring forward? Oh no, it's summer already. Never mind. Next one's fall. I'm stupid. Okay, I apparently need to go back to bed. But welcome in, raiders. Those of you from Aura Stream who don't know me, my name is Maren. I'm the ringleader at the Dark Carnival. I typically play games that are dark, spooky, terrifying, or just whatever my little inclinations like to yap about, especially because today is Thursday. Aren't it 100% this early on? Blink, blink. Some satisfactory take if either that or watch some more Scrubs. But welcome in, guys. Blue Morpho, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Blue Morpho is in the butterfly? The butterfly? But I do know you. Hi, Civet. How are you doing? Welcome back. Welcome in. Yes, the butterfly. Ooh. Oh, wait, that's really cute. Aww. Welcome in, raiders. If you want to hang out and chill, we're going to be yapping a lot today. We tend to jump topics. We ride the ADHD wave here. So fair warning, though, I do cover a lot of topics. It could jump anywhere from like IRL stuff to talking about, in this case, we'll probably see some twink paranormal, aka twin paranormal, because I like to talk about ghost hunting, not in the way of like, oh, ghosts are real, but more in like the understanding of investigating things as opposed to sensationalizing things like most YouTube ghost hunters do. I love butterflies a lot. I like butterflies a lot too. I used to have to drive through an area that was a monarch butterfly spawn ground. And in the late summer, it turns into just a smorgasbord of orange butterflies. Food twinks and people going places where they're not supposed to? Correct. Creative trespassing, as we like to call it, aka urban exploring. Just watching the recent vid. Oh, really? Sorry to raid and run. Have a good time, Booty. Thank you for swinging. Booty Clap McDougal. Wait, I swear I've seen that name. I swear I've seen that name somewhere. Repo was good? Hell yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed playing Repo. Were y'all playing modded or regular? I tried playing Repo. I've tried playing Repo a couple times, and I get a headache after like 2 hours, and I can't figure out why. Like a couple levels in, and I'm already like, I think I gotta go, guys. I'm feeling sick. Playing the beta. What's in the beta? Trapped about me, I believe in ghost demons because when I was very young, gotten possessed. My dad told me about it. My brother got possessed. My dad told me about it. It totally wasn't a mental health crisis. Yozo, do you hear yourself? Yozo. Baby. Probably had to adjust the settings so it doesn't wiggle as much. I usually turn off things like head bob, camera shake, motion blur. I turn that shit off all the time. It could be the pixelization. I don't know if it's like some of the sounds or something in the game. I'll be back after this paperwork. Hi, Lo. Why are you... Who's shooting Lo? I didn't see anybody pull out a gun. Booty Clap McDougal, thank you for the follow. Still a sick name. I swear I've heard that name before. I swear I've heard that name before. Hold on. Where are you? Where are you? Click. That's a pickle. That's a piccolo. Then I don't know where I've seen your name. You have 4 eyes like me? I have more than 4 eyes. And you know. But don't worry about those. Don't look at those. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It is A-okay, baby. Let me also do a... There we go. Yeah. All the eyes, baby. All the eyes. Listen, if I could squeeze more in without making any sort of live 2D rigger want to throw themselves off a building, I would. But I think I currently have the max amount of eyes that any rigger would want to do. Without wanting to commit a sewer slide. So, you know. Like a sideways one, you should have a chest eye? Maybe. I'll probably do something like that. I'm probably going to have far less for the next model, which is going to be the summer outfit. But, you know, that's a long way away. We can't start paying stuff like that until we move. So, root people with trypophobia. I know what you're talking about. Yep. I see to ya. Also, hi, Kiri. Izzy's fucking stare emotes. Ice to see ya? Is that what that says? I think I've read that before. Ice to see you, as in like nice to see you. Trypophobia. Butcher mouths to be cute. Well, thank you. Thank you. Here, let me just we can do one of these things. Just kind of step back a little bit. And so you can see the jacket back there. I can do this. I can put on my jacket and put it back. It's excellent. It's excellent. I'm gonna have to go get dinner. Have fun. Enjoy your meal, especially because food is awesome. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, what were we talking about, chat? What were we talking about before the raid? We did Dad Go Round. Bad horror. We're actually gonna play one of the worst horror games. I don't know what it's gonna be just yet. But it could be anything from like Amy to like the worst Resident Evil, because I think I technically have that Resident Evil already. Harvester? I don't know. I don't think I have Harvester, or I know what Harvester is. Gotta eat now. Enjoy your food, booting. Go get your nums. Go get your nums. You're in charge of keeping my dog preoccupied. Her name is Zilly. You're also currently playing through my Alexa. Do with that information as you will. Hey, Alexa. Play Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. All right, now we wait to see how many people start getting pissed that their Alexas just tuned in. Time for Squat Soldier. Give me 20. Feel the burn. God damn it. God damn it. All right, hold on. Hold on. All right. Joke's on you. Mine can't hear you because you're playing through it. Ah, okay. Yeah, I have an Alexa, but she hasn't been plugged in since college. She has not been plugged in or done anything since fucking college. So like 2019, baby. Mine can't hear you because who was that? Kiri, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Enjoy the show. The next one is the drink stream. Drink stream is not only going to be chilling and drinking here. We are also I'm probably going to put a post up both on Blue Sky and Twitter. And what we'll do is I will probably grab some other friends that are knowledgeable in like mixology and bartending. And we will make drinks that like kind of represent the characters, the VTuber characters. Blue Sky mentioned. I'm probably going to put it on both because while I do have some overlap between the apps, it feels like I have a different group on Blue Sky as a different group on Twitter, which is why I post the same thing on both all the time. I'm never getting one of those Alexas. I'm never getting another one. I've just had it for a long time. I don't actually remember how I ended up with it. 1,000+ drinks and cocktails should be useful. I have a bunch of mixology books. I even have a bunch of the what are basically deemed as bartending textbooks, like history of bartending, understanding of like bartending, why certain ingredients are used when, why they were prevalent, and like the history of various iconic drinks and shit. I even have some of the old recipes of recipes that liquors you are physically impossible to get now. I believe I have a recipe for a reanimator that you can't make anymore because the company discontinued the specific ingredient in one of their liquors that they have. They got rid of the specific ingredient that's supposed to give this reanimator cocktail its flavor. And everybody I've heard says it's not the fucking same. Do you watch How to Drink? Of course. Do I watch How to Drink? Do I watch How to Drink? How fucking dare you? How dare you? Yes, of course I watch How to Drink. We even have 7 TV emotes I made specifically from How to Drink. Which, yeah, if you have 7 TV, you can see that emote. You're in charge. I'm gonna go unstinky after I just got back from a walk and buying booze for tomorrow. All right, Zilly, are you sitting? Are you being a good girl? Are you being a good girl? Is that Talgi or is that Talgi TV? Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. How are you doing? Ba-ba-ba-ba. Chat, you want to know something I find very funny? It finally happens. We saw the fall. We saw the fall of a large VTuber that didn't just get away with their bullshit. It took a couple years for a top VTuber to do something heinous and for her to actually get stomped down and basically kicked out. It's impressive, honestly. If anybody knows who I'm talking about, then do you know what I mean? With like all of these conventions coming up, I have not seen a single thing of her appearing at any of them, which is impressive. Impressive. All right, so let me see real quick. Oh, wow. Can we watch it burn? No, she's was on fire. Was on fire before. Shit happens. Shit happens. Sabotage City when she was already on a legendary run. True. I mean, I got to see her climb from when she was just like basically starting out all the way to where she was. And then I even saw her in person at WeebCon last year. Deny. Deny. Also, hi, 7-Eleven. But, yep. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's the thing with, I guess... 24-year-old Australian woman set friend on fire for making misogynistic remark. Nice. Nice. Oh wait, he's not dead, right? Okay, hold on. Is he dead? Wait, this is different if he's dead. Hold on, I need to know. Arson attack on Jake Loader 23. Felt overwhelmed by his antagonistic behavior throughout the night before she finally set off by a sexist remark he made during a house party in New South Wales. He said she should stay in the kitchen making scones if she couldn't handle drinking with the boys, which sent the 24-year-old into a rage. She grabbed a gallon of gasoline and doused him with it before waving a lighter at him, and he said, "Go on, do it." Who was drunk and had consumed cocaine, she confessed. The guy that was doused in gasoline was the one that said, "Go on and do it," and he was both drunk and high on cocaine. Then touched him with the lighter, setting Loader ablaze, according to the testimony. Sustained 55% burns to his body and had some sweat glands burned off. Put on medically induced coma for 8 days after the attack. Required 10 operations, spent 27 days in a burn unit at the Melbourne. He can no longer step outside into the sun because of the extensive epidermal damage, the statement said. Okay. No, okay. Both these people are stupid. Both of these people are stupid, but also respectful crash out, kind of. Kind of. He asked for it in their defense. He told me to do it. Can you imagine? Your Honor, he told me to do it. Okay, not guilty. Confessing to yapping? Always confessing to yapping. Yeah, 55% burns. That's a hold my beer situation. No, that's not a... He literally told me to do it. I wonder what that scene looked like. Did she like run out into the garage, run back into the house, and then douse him and probably therefore like probably a part of the house or like the carpet or anything? Unless they were outside or like in the backyard, which I'm kind of guessing. I'm kind of guessing that's... Okay. The gaps are strong with this one. Pray? What do you mean? Listen, I got distracted, okay? We talked about the drink stream. We didn't talk about the 24-hour stream. The 24-hour stream is actually more than likely going to be slapped on top of the 12-hour stream since I can't do these until I move. So that'll be a 36-hour stream. I'm going to get energy drinks. We're going to get a lot of water, and I'm going to get pizza. And we're going to have a serious fucking gaming day. Imagine having the vampire debuff. The sunlight burns your skin. I mean, it's probably because he doesn't have any of the epidermal layers necessary to protect from strong UV light, and he's extremely susceptible to developing cancer, is what I'm guessing. Starts to hallucinate stream? Should I do that? That'd be a funny redeem. No, that'd be insensitive. I was gonna say schizophrenia redeemed, but no, that'd be too harsh. That'd be way too harsh. I should not do that. I should not do that. Also, I don't think it matters. He can't go outside. Wait, if the chat moved and I lost it anymore since he sounds like a basement dweller. True. I haven't played games that long. Even most I did was like 20. We'll probably have like multi-hour breaks in there where we just kind of chill and chat. Depending on how I'm feeling partway through, I may go grab Faye and plop Faye in the chair. Faye, you're puppeting the model. Come here. Basically how that would probably go while I take like an hour nap. Look at all the things you could get with one simple donation to Ko-fi, even more with memberships. That's not even mentioning the stretch goals, which are kind of some things that I think will be fun, if not goofy. Let me in your skin. Yes. Purple. I don't know how well this model would probably take forever and a half to recolor, but I could do it. I could probably do it. Stretch the goals? Yes. 2.25K is basically $250 past the finished goal. I will play League of Legends on stream, which means I will have to download League of Legends. 2.5 is VTM one shot. If anybody doesn't know what VTM is, it is the TTRPG Vampire the Masquerade. I'm already brainstorming it. I'm thinking this is going to be a Elder campaign in New Orleans. Download League of Legends. Did you make? No, I did not. I did not. The artist is Drool. His link is down below, as well as the person who rigged it, which is Ren, is also down below. No, I can't art. I can't art. I can't even do shapes right. I shake. I shake. My hand is not crazy steady, or as steady as like it'll be 20th anniversary. Yes, 20th anniversary. We are not doing 5e and like finding third-party elder rules, because 5e does not have rules for playing. I think generations older than 10th. Aaron, go Coke Shaky. What do you mean Coke Shaky? Favorite clan and why is it Malkavian? It's Zemitzi, nerd. It's obviously Zemitzi. Not even mentioning vicissitude, we still have Khaldunism. We get elemental fucking sorcery, my guy. It's great. And La Sombra. And Delamia. And, who else? Who else is a big favorite for me? I think that's it. The new book is out for 5e. Wait, which book? Khaldunic Sorcery is dope. Hell yeah. That's actually, we're playing in a campaign where I play as Zemitzi. She doesn't have Khaldunism currently. But that was actually part of the plan when we started the campaign. I was going to become a Khaldun sorcerer. But then we ended up with the Tremere, and I was like, okay, I don't think I need to do this anymore. Tremere get no love. What can be more iconic for a vampire than blood magic? Different blood magic. Play the Assamite. Play, what else was there? Assamite / Ministry. The Banu Akeem technically have a type of blood sorcery. Hand cramps up to after drawing a while, but this way I draw a couple of laps of circles to calibrate my hands. That makes sense. Can canonically cast Testicular Torsion? Correct. Although you have to do it with your hands. You can't do it with your mind until I think it's like level 7 vicissitude. Everyone hates Tremere and they earned it. Correct. And you don't get to pretend like Tremere crying in the corner. Why is everybody so mean to me? When you were a bunch of shit-ass mages that nobody fucking liked. Not even other mages liked House Tremere. So they were like, what if we made ourselves immortal by taking like vampire blood and stuff? And so they ate the potentially nicest vampire in existence to become the worst vampire clan in existence. And then hunted the nicest vampire clan basically to extinction and continues to do so, and villainize them into demons. And then when people find out and call them out on their shit, they go cry in the corner like an upset white girl. Tremere finger guns? Ugh. I wouldn't say the worst clan. The Setites exist. I'm taking the Tal Mahira into account for this, and I'm still calling the Tremere the worst clan. I'm still calling them the worst clan. I know the Tal Mahira. I know what clans are in the Tal Mahira. But I'm dumb. In Memoria is out in June, but it covers... Okay, yeah. In Memoria, I was going to say, I've seen it. I think I saw the... Wasn't that kickstarted? I'm pretty sure that was kickstarted. No more clans, just groups of people. No, they're clans. But, like, they're not, like... More often than not, they're not really, like, same races of people. That's... Hold on. I know what we need to do. I need this old book. Chat, we're going to have a bad word on stream. Oh, that's too small. I need a bigger one. If you want to understand what older versions of the World of Darkness and stuff was like. That's a WebP? Fuck that shit. How could you do this to me? I need a different one. It's too small. Too shitty looking. Also too small. Why are these so small? Fine, I'll take this really crummy picture somebody took. Okay, that's a JPEG. That's good. That'll work out. Let me tuck you away, because now I'm going to swap it out. All right, chats. Bad word incoming. This is an official book for the World of Darkness. This is primarily on the Romani people and the Ravnos, aka the original. When Ravnos came out, which is like the illusion chimeristery vampires, they were pretty much stereotypes of that. They were like thieves, charlatans, all that jazz. And like since then they've like developed them from that really bad stereotype into like forced travelers, if that makes sense. Because like now their bait is they can't sleep in the same place each night. Like they have to go somewhere else every night. They can't sleep in the same place 2 nights in a row. Oh shit, no, burn it. Yeah, this is old World of Darkness is pretty wait a second, that's not the right one. There we go. Okay, let me get the thing back up. But yeah, that's what old World of Darkness was like, and they're getting better-ish. Old anything is pretty true. Most 90s TTRPGs were really, really edgy and like gross and kind of over the top. It's not great. Infinity C, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. But yeah, a lot of the early versions of like World of Darkness and stuff were very like, the weird way to say it is like ethnocentric. In the case of like, you would have a clan and like they would have typically like requirements. Like I think early Banu Hakim, that's what it was. Early Banu Hakim had like the requirement that like you had to be Arabian, you likely had to be Muslim, because at one point that they required Muslims only. And then in the lore, what's its name? An entity, the son of their antediluvian Urshulgi came back and killed every Muslim Banu Hakim that wouldn't convert back to the path of blood. And then was like, as long as you're on the path of blood, you can be a Banu Hakim. I want to be tucked in. I am the tired. Carrie's tired. A lot of them escaped. Yeah, most of them, they either escaped or if they tried to stay and like didn't renounce their religion, Urshulgi ate them. And I specifically use the term it because in the lore, Urshulgi looks like apparently like a very young boy, like almost child, level. But he looks like cracked lava, apparently. Like, he looks like he was never human and also doesn't look like a vampire. Or be destroyed. Yes. Painfully white games for painfully white people. Yeah. Yeah, that's also like looking at like early D&D with like required moralities. That shit's stupid. Are you kidding me? The flayed one? Yep. Yep. But it's because he's like, he looks like he's entirely covered in black ash with like seeping cracks all over him. But he also, what was it? I'm trying to remember. Early on, Banu Hakim's thing was like, their whole thing was like technically diablerie. They would eat other vampires to grow stronger to enact their justice on the world. And then I believe it was the Tremere that put a curse on all Banu Hakim that it was physically impossible for them to diablerize anything anymore. And when Shulgi came back, he just snapped his fingers and that curse was undone. A multi-centuries old curse. And Shulgi was just like, nuh-uh. All right, go eat a bitch. Still need to read my copy of VTM 20th. I've been working on Wraith and Mage. Ugh. Wraith is stressful to read, dude. The ghost games, any of the ghost games are stressful to try and read, learn, and understand. But you can diablerize your sire. It's completely free. What's the, God, I wish I had that, like, copy pasta that I saw the other day. Fortune vampires are terrifying? Correct. But, what was I'm trying to remember, fuck. There was like a copy pasta I saw that made me laugh my ass off. And it was something like, it was basically like the Alex Jones thing, but it was about like diablerie. Only the blood bond can stop you. Blood bonds are for cowards. Cowards, I say. Oh. Save the werewolf brothers and sisters. Listen, if you like combat in World of Darkness, werewolf is where it's at. October 1976, an article in the Dragon magazine unironically suggests one could bring more women into the hobby by swapping charisma for beauty on their character sheets. I mean, we do have appearance in World of Darkness. World of Darkness has appearance as one of the social skills. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's social skills, social attributes. That pause into wiggling had no right making me smile so much. Good. We can be observed. Observed in my house? You're all observed. What are you talking about? You've always been observed. Where did you think this was? My monstrous women are all terrifying and hot, so jot that down. First of all things are possible through the World of Darkness. Please and thank you. Jot that down. That was D&D. Of course it was. Ugh. I'm legit wanting to run Werewolf 5e after I finish reading it. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Good luck. The 421 guy, 421 guy, 421 guy. Secret chats, after all, you fucking bitch. You fucking bitch. Looks at all the times we haven't been observed. I mean, I know for a fact that y'all have not made a secret chat in the Discord only for mods. Because I'm the one who has to make it. I'm the one who would have to make it. Damnation City? What is Damnation City? VTM? What is Damnation City? This is a book I haven't seen before. Oh, it's for Vampire the Requiem, that's why. Creating cities and Chronicles of Darkness, such as neighborhoods and unique sites. Much of the material can be used in any Chronicles of Darkness. I have not played any Chronicles of Darkness.
Making a mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't spread over every egg.
Can I help you, Ghost? Okay, that Gurdy may have been a mistake. Just remember the sadness about losing a good one. People who claim to play World of Darkness that are not VTM gave me the same vibe as people who claim to understand Eloise? Well, no, not exactly. It just, we can't make a channel that's hidden from me, the owner, and all the other things. True. I've never played a Water COD, but I have the Deviant book. Ooh. I've heard some people really like the Deviant game. My ears? Jade, that's the point. 20k plus points and spending them stims my brain. Listen, that's fully understandable. Wait, I haven't heard this song in a while. Oh, it's full. No, I think I listened to the song yesterday. Never mind. I'm an idiot. I mean, if you want a secret chat, all right. I think we're basically done with this house fund. We're not gonna talk about that last one. I'm also gonna tell you, chat, the stretch goals, they either have to be hit in like one big go, or I'm only gonna allow the chance to hit the stretch goals probably 3 days after we hit the 2K mark. That's the plan. That's the plan. Once we hit the 2K mark, it's going to be a timer, and you're going to have 3 streams to hit any of those stretch goals. House fund. Yes, house fund. Duluth for the Anglophone. Oh. Have heard of the guy? I don't think so. It doesn't sound familiar. Let me also do this real quick. And then let me saunter on over. Hello, chat. Hello. How are you today? Actually, no, smaller. Requiem was the time playing a Malk who could short-term memory loss, so he used Temporis to freeze time so she wouldn't forget what she was doing was what? What? Wait, why did she have Temporis? Temporis is a true Bruja. They wouldn't give that away. One system I kind of like to play is Rotted Capes. Post-apocalyptic superhero sounds fun. There's a post-apocalyptic superhero game. I've been reading Mutants and Masterminds to play a superhero game. Mainly because I totally don't want to play a cultist superhero. A Cthulhu cultist superhero. It's fine. It's fine. Small? What do you mean small? What the fuck do you mean small, mister? What are you on about? Malx and Requiem had it? Oh. Really? That's weird. Hold on, now I want to look that up. Malkavian. No, that's VTM. Demontation VTR. Hold on. The Requiem. Malkavian. Oh, that says Malkovian. That's not Malkavian, that's Malkovian. Huh. And it's the Ventru bloodline. What the fuck? Okay, that's not it. What are you on about, Yozo? You gotta be high, bitch. Is all zombie apocalypse superheroes, and if you want a novel series in the same vein, there's the X-Hero series. But yeah, when I find like the wiki page for Malkavian, yeah, they don't do anything in the White Wolf wiki. They don't have the fucking small man's five. I'm not 5'3". What the fuck are you on about? Pierce Draconic, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Enjoy the show. Also, we have a minute until the ad break, so let me go ahead and get words ready for y'all. Words. All right. It's already ready to go whenever we hit the ad break in less than a minute. Nosh, 3 foot. How dare you? Do I need it here? You know what? Hold on. Not that. Not that. This. Where is it? Where is it? Here, chat, take this and shove off. Go ahead. I can't throw it. I can't throw it. What's the deal? What are y'all on about? What's the issue? I don't understand. Also, you can see the mouth doesn't work properly because it's V-Bridger tracking. And the chibi was made for like phone and camera tracking instead of V-Bridger. Where's the bald redeem? It won't work. It won't work. The redeems for chibi won't work with this one. An absolutely towering 413. That's 5'1". Probably close to 6. It has white eyes, not real. That's how you can tell it's a doll. That was actually a doll. It was fake the whole time. Y'all hallucinated it. Hallucinated what? I'll track your V-Bridger? Okay. How are you going to do that? Fake, Marin. Fake! All right. We need to move some of our stuff. We're going to need the screen back. Hi. Welcome back, screen. Then we're going to need a this. Who just threw shit at me? Which one of you motherfuckers just signed your own goddamn death warrant? Who done did it? Who done did it? Magic determination, the magic of friendship. Oh, Christ. Oh, Christ. All right, chat. I'm going to be back in a minute. I need to go let Coco in because I let her out 30 minutes before stream and she's still outside. But I'll be back in a minute. Don't burn anything down. Actually, Ordain's the only one who's not allowed to burn anything down. Everybody else can burn shit down. Have fun, kids. Chat, I think I have a problem. Chat, I think I'm getting too strong. I think I'm getting too strong. The old jacket, the old hoodie I have from my muscle farm job that I had, it used to be a large. It's marked a large. And it's probably shrunk a couple times. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt if it shrunk a couple times. But it's getting small. Too now small. It's not like dinky small. It's just like it's still plenty baggy. I think I need to slow it down. I think I need to slow it down at the gym. I think I need to start eating less. Man, I blew something up. I said no arson! I said no arson! How could you? How could you? Why would you do this to me? Why would you do this to me? All right. Increase the gains? No! No! Had to shrink it too large for go rounds? I mean, this is a large. My own hoodie, my own merch hoodie, which if y'all want, it's a little expensive. But it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. You can get it at yeah, the Uwu Market link there. I have an extra large. I got an extra large for that because I wanted something like super baggy that I can like pull my legs into and get like comfy on a couch. And it's still super baggy. Mike, why did that have like the Johnny, hey mama, wait a minute. It's just the fucking Johnny Bravo entrance. How are you doing, Mike? Hey, pretty mama. Dink donk, married merch, read all about it, dink donk. Listen, we have two things. I feel bad because there's like so many things going on the channel now. I feel like I have too much shit going on. We have the house fund. We have like the alerts for gamer subs that come in like I think it's like 40 minutes. I think 45 minutes. I made it so that it doesn't come in like cycle because if it was cycling, it would be every 3 minutes. Not doing that shit. But where's it going? We have the Donathon right now. You can get merch, you can get all that stuff. And I do get like a little bit back on all of those merch things, but I can't really count it towards the house fund. Buy the Baron stuff, we won't ask again. It's fine. It's also though, I don't think I'm gonna be getting any new merch for a little while. I did plan on adding new stuff. With 2.0's debut, I just didn't because the only thing I really had lined up was a desk mat. And it was just unfortunate that I didn't have anything new like that. But buy the Baron stuff, you won't? Listen, it's fine. Fourth Wall was never coming back for 2.0. It's the thing is we have Uwu Market that now has brand new apparel with really good art. We have VT Horizon, which now has like all of the knickknacks, keychains, pins, buttons. We'll have more buttons and stuff probably in the future. And like they're capable of doing like all that smaller stuff. And soon they're also going to be adding apparel at VT Horizon. But gifting things, oh, that's true. The stream gifting was pretty cool. I don't know if there's a way that I can gift things in the fourth wall. Howdy, hi Stevio. Hi Stevo. How are you doing? I'm finally not late for a stream. I mean, that timer does say an hour and 10 minutes. No, there's never too late to come to a stream. How are you, Twinksoul? What trouble are you getting into? It's funny over here, chat. I have not been like looking to see what we're going to be doing for the majority of the stream at all on the side over here. I've literally just been staring at VTube Studio and manipulating myself around. Fashionably late. Fashionably late. I don't have sunglasses. All I have is regular glasses. In my thought process, that was probably an oversight. This model feels like it needs sunglasses. Can't even gift with those newfangled merch sites where you can pick up quality items like keychains, flasks, cloths, and more. Yeah, that's actually my water bottle. My water bottle has my own autograph on it. Which is, I actually have the muscle one. I have the muscle one with the blown off sleeves. Ah, fuck. Fuck. You don't get to relax? I forgot to do the other 20 squats too. I owe y'all 40 squats. All right. All right, we can't risk this with Ordain staying on top of the exercise. All right, hold on. I stood up, so I lost tracking. It's 40. It's 40. All right, we got to do this. We got to do this now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, hold on. There's half. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Ugh. Hold on, I need to like, because my legs still hurt from fucking Monday. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Oh, thank God. Come here, chair. Come here, chair. Ugh. Persona Edition work it? Listen. Wait, I'm curious. Has anybody been seeing the Persona game that's been like drifting around? I think it's a mobile game. It's Persona 5, but like half the team is different. Like completely different people. I have no idea who they are. Yeah, there's like a new Persona 5 gacha game. Phantom X, is that it? Like, or is it an entirely different Phantom team that's hunting down the original? I mean, some of their designs look cool. When we haven't even finished Royal. We're not going to play it. It's a mobile game. It's a mobile game. Wait, is it? I just clicked one of the gameplay screenshots and it has buttons on it. They're really big, so it could still be for the mobile game, but underneath them is PlayStation buttons. Or maybe they're Xbox. Oh yeah, it's Xbox, because I can see X and Y. Yeah, I see right trigger, left trigger. D-pad does something. X does something. And then left trigger and Y looks like it's to like swap or something. Around the same time as Persona 5. That's what I figured. But like, it looks like a bunch of these characters are entirely new. There is also a picture of one person named Puppet that I kind of like her design. It looks kind of nifty. But let me see. So we have Cattle, Closer. I can't read that other name because it's behind a thing. That's Japanese. And it kind of looks like all these characters' personas are like very like masquerade ball-ish. Weirdly. Super free-to-play friendly. Persona 5, the Phantom X. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. Okay, let me see. Behind a thing? What thing? It's the thing when you click on like Google. When you click on Google and it puts like that magnifying glass button or something there, that covers the name. And I'm like, I'm too lazy to just, hi, Tia. What are you up to today, Tia? It's gotcha. So there's tons of new units. They're having a Persona 3 crossover in the China server. Behind a thing, what next? Too bad. Break out the company card. Buying all the Phantoms on stream. I don't have any money for that. Doom, why are you biting me? You're up to Doom? Or you're playing Doom? Are you playing Doom? Are you playing one of the older Dooms? Because I know you were playing some the other day. Are you doing Doom multiplayer again? I'm up to Doom? Yes. Okay, that makes sense. Totally fine. Totally. Why is Godzilla trending? Why the hell is Godzilla trending? Godzilla destroys the Marvel Universe? Is that Venom Godzilla? Nightmare mode? It's kicking my ass? Of course it fucking is. It's nightmare mode. Karin Took? Persona as Persona? No. How about no? Wait, what is this? There's a lot of pictures of Godzilla destroys the Marvel Universe being posted for some reason. Space Godzilla redesign? I don't like that. That's just a woman with her ass out. Is it an anniversary? Is that what it is? Is it an anniversary of Godzilla? Is that what the deal is? Godzilla versus Thor #1 preview. Okay, so they're making another Godzilla destroys the Marvel Universe. I think that's why people are kind of freaking out about it. Why did my phone just light up? Hold on a second. Uh-oh. Hold on. I got an email that may be important. Ooh. Oh, for White Knuckle. Oh, shit. We still need to play White Knuckle. White Knuckle could be the rage game that we end up playing this time. I'm very timid to play White Knuckle because I didn't know it was a rage game. I thought it was just like a horror rock climbing game. It's Godzilla versus Marvel, though each era of Godzilla. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, that seems to be, it seems also just to be a whole bunch of people fawning over Godzilla in general. Because let's be real, Godzilla is pretty cool. More rage, more rings of Elder. That's what Faye and Sai told me when they played it. When Sai played it, they both told me that it was a rage game. And I've been very timid, even though I was given a key to play it. I was like, I don't want to play a rage game. I really don't want to play a rage game. Wait. Oh, interesting. Mecha Mothra. Oh no. Oh no. I don't get the rage game vibe when I play it. Okay, maybe it's not. Rage Carnival Games, Hackermans, Godzilla. What the fuck? What the fuck? No. Beef, no. You can't fuck the multi-story tall lizard. I don't care what you say. That's a lizard. You can go find Nepzilla instead if you want to find a kaiju to fuck. Or Gaz. Or Maki. Is there any others I know? I can't think of any other kaiju VTubers that I know off the top of my head right now. At least ones that I remember the name of. Gaz mentioned? Yeah, I know Gaz. Gaz occasionally swings over. They know what the people want. Gaz mentioned, why not? Unless you get a monster girl being from Japan, then it's possible to fuck a kaiju. Yes, do not fuck the lizard. For a goblin, does that count? Listen, Tia, just because you're a whole 4'1.5" does not make you a full kaiju. Does Red Claw count? No. Red Claw's a dinosaur, not a kaiju. Don't listen to the non-believers, follow your dreams. Shit. I don't know why. I just got the very weird urge to, what was it? To rewatch like Godzilla Zero? No, -1. That's what it's called. -1. That shit was so good. I got to see that in theaters. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. Wait. What is this? What is this? News. Hold on. Israeli diplomat shot dead in Washington, D.C. amid rising tensions. 2 staff members from the Embassy of Israel were fatally shot outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington. Why were they at the museum? Is today some special day? Were they doing like a talk? Were they doing a talk outside the museum or something? Suspect identified as 30-year-old Elias Rodriguez from Chicago shouted "Free Palestine" after the shooting and during his arrest. Authorities are investigating possible motives, including terrorism and anti-Semitism, although the full context behind his action remains under review. Yells "Free Palestine." His motives are unknown. Who could tell? Oh my god. Oh my god. What a lad. What a lad. Hold on, I want to see. Wait, what is this gray check mark? What does a gray check mark on Twitter mean? Hold on. Can I click it? Oh, US EPA. Okay, government accounts. A true mystery. Yes, a true mystery. We'll never understand his motives. Thing too is apparently they were the only targets and he was arrested easily. This week's shaping up to be interesting. Definitely interesting. Okay, hold on. I just want to see what all of these like posts and stuff under it are. It is definitely an interesting week, but I am definitely curious to see where these weeks are go. Hey, chat, you want to see the shooter? I only want you to understand because of one reason. We're going to go over here. And we're going to do this. This looks like a pretty level-headed individual to me. He's wearing tennis shoes, of course. He's wearing old tennis shoes, but that boy's wearing a suit. That's all. That's all. Somebody, I guess, snuck this picture or something, and I was like, interesting. Interesting. He's late for his meeting! Those are his outside shoes. They're not his business shoes. Why the fuck is the top comment on this post some dude saying, named Top Lobster, says, at Gronk, translate this post into Jamaican patois. Okay. Why? I will never understand these people that just like fucking comment on things at Grok and then like, oh, okay. Okay. Wait, FBI and Pam Bondi? Pam Bondi herself was on site. The Attorney General? Why? Why? Why, other than to make an appearance? Why? Fuck Twitter and Grok, but also let Grok be more base and keep fucking up the idiot's agenda? True. These horrible DC killings based obviously on anti-Semitism must end now, says President Donald Trump. Okay. Sure. You could, I mean, maybe it's possible. It's still a possibility. But I suspect that it is not, in fact, based on anti-Semitism. I have so many things I can say to that. I have a lot of things I could say to that. True. But let me also fuck Twitter, but generally just cold brained. I have so many things I could say to that. Okay, yeah. I just want to make sure I was caught up on chat. Gork, is this true? No, you got to go ask Mork. You're gonna have to go ask Mork that question. Gork is for bonking. Mork is for the questions. But yeah, interesting week. You think it'll happen again? Wait, what is this? What is this? US phasing out penny production? No way. Finally? Finally? Fun fact, chat. Did you know it costs more to make a penny than a penny's worth? This probably isn't still the same amount it's worth, but I believe this was in like before 2020. A penny cost about 1.6 cents to make. The blanks that a penny was pressed into cost 1.6 cents. But hold on, I want to see. The US will stop making pennies starting next year, due to the cost of production exceeding the penny's face value, with each penny costing now between 2 to 4 cents to make. This move is projected to save $56 million annually. Secession of penny production will lead to businesses rounding cash transaction to the nearest 5 cents. How about we just start rounding it to like the nearest like 50 cents? Can we do that? Can we just like... Also, could we start just making like certain bills into coins? Can we like make bills up to like $5 into coins? Please? Please? I'm not gonna lie, I swear to God, it's not like you said stopping painting production. I was like, excuse? No, not that. We're not talking about that. No, the penny production is fine because, well, pennies are kind of stupid. Frankly, the penny production should have been stopped decades ago. Once, like, shit stopped costing single cents. When, like, sodas were 5 cents and shit. Once the cost of a soda exceeded, I'm thinking 50 cents, or most products exceeded the cost of 50 cents, pennies should have been out the goddamn window. Dollar menus don't exist anymore. Doesn't like my penny collect. You can save pennies. In fact, at this point, I kind of encourage saving pennies because now they're not going to be printed anymore, which means over the rest of our lives, they're going to go up in collector value, baby. Back to carrying coin pouches like freaking pirates, banditos, and knights. Mike, are you saying that that doesn't sound awesome? Inflation is really out of control due to the horrific mismanagement over the last 40 years. It's more than 40 years, more like 60 years, 60, 70 years. The new Beanie Babies. That does for real. Save full copper pennies, not the copper plated ones. Thief tries to steal purse, drops to the fucking floor. I mean, like, your $10 bills and above would still be paper. I'd argue relevancy up until Reaganomics. Correct. It was... Here, let me actually find US inflation graph. But I want... let's do 100 years. 1929 to 2025. Can I find a graph? Give me a graph. Here, let's actually find... They don't give me a graph, but they give me a chart. Inflation rates... Okay, 1929. 0.6%. Negative 6%. Negative 9%. Negative 10%. 0.8%. 1.5%. 3%. 9% in 41 and 42, 3% in 43, 18% in 46, 46 post World War II, 8%, 3%, 2%, 5%, 6%. Let's do a little bit of fast forwarding through the 60s. 3, 3, 3, 8, 12, 6. Okay. 13, 12, 8. They're pretty. The 90s were pretty decent. 1% most of the 90s. All right, let's do recently. It looks like, yeah, basically it was like 1 or 2% each year. And then COVID hit and it went up to 7%. And it's currently still somewhere hovering in the 3% area. Which, why the fuck did we make a system where money becomes less worth as time goes on? Houses appreciate in value. Why the fuck doesn't currency? Make it make sense. We live in a global world where we can all just agree that money is equal to whatever, and yet we decide that money is not equal. Dear, you can start using those words. I am more than open to discussion. I like discussion. There's actually a really good reason. Because we hate each other? Because we hate each other. Give me a reason that doesn't boil down to just being like, yeah, we could all easily survive here and flourish, but we don't. It was worth $6 tomorrow. Would you use it today? No. I mean, I doubt it would appreciate like that. Using words without the iPads, if cash became more powerful, people won't buy anything. I think you're vehemently wrong on that. Are you insane? So you're saying if money would appreciate in value, everybody would just hoard it and never spend it? You say that like people don't need to eat, don't need to subsist. Like people don't have the urge to like... Deflationary currency makes economies grind to a halt. I mean, you could still have it just have equal a flat value. You could still have it equal a flat value and just be like $1 will always be $1. But no, line has to go up, so shit has to change. Bitcoin is deflationary currency. I figured it was more like an investment, because that feels more like what it entails. It's more money feelings. It's more money feelings. I like this. I like this fake money over here. I'm going to put money into it so that it gains value. Oh my, it gained enough value. I want to take it out now. I took out a large chunk. Therefore, its value went down to everyone else. Huh. Money, the solution to every problem because it is the problem? Correct. Fun fact, you can already invest in currency? Yes. I mean, yeah. Because I actually wanted to collect various currencies when I was a kid, but come to find out, if you're at an international airport and you want to like convert a couple like bills here and there into different currencies, I think the one stand that I went to required $200. It was a minimum of $200. You had to give them 200 USD before they would give you any other currency. And I was like, no. How about no? Can I use money to shrink Godzilla? Probably. I mean, I wouldn't doubt if that was like a thing in like comics or in any of the movies. Invest in Mountain Coin by Kofiing. There's no real Mountain Coin yet. Listen, if I ever started a Mountain Coin, it's not going to be cryptocurrency. It'll be like a physical coin, like veg coins. That reminds me, I don't think I ever got my veg coins in the mail. I'm still waiting on my veg coins. Where's my veg coins, veggie? There is no magic money. Yes, there is literally how it works, and it's insanity. Lies, money would solve literally every one of my problems. Oh, okay, it was only shipped out this week? Okay, I did not know that. I did not know that. It was just, I remember filling out the form a long time ago. I remember just filling out the form a long time ago. So maybe I'll have a veg coin to, what's the word? Stim with or something. Physical Mountain Coin is always the plan. Yarp. Talk to VT Horizons about getting them a 3D printer that they can print off a Mountain Coin with. What the is that the song? The fuck was that slurping sound? Get out of here, feel good. I don't like that. That made me uncomfortable. Hi, Mr. Creepypasta. What are you up to? Thank you for the self-care. Monetary theory is also made up like every other financial system. We've just decided it apparently needs to be overly complicated and overly volatile. We posting armchair economy now? Nobody alert me? Hi, Bertle. Banks being able to create money from nothing, but by having 10% of the amount being real is fucking necromancy? Yep. Where the fuck is it? Are you still... I think... No, I was watching Willow. Willow was doing Doom the other day. I couldn't find the fucking secret key on one of the levels. Buy enough mountain coins and we can make it its own currency? I mean, you could, but it would probably only be worth something to other guests. Exclamation secret keys. Oh no. Market has existed since before we even made cities. Capitalism only existed for under 200 years. Correct. And so I was going to say, though, with volatile currency and volatile economic systems that have come into existence over the past 140 years. No. Well, maybe 140 years. But definitely probably actually less than that in terms of the global market. That is where we have ended up with the exceedingly volatile currency economy we've ended up with. Third Plato basically said lesbian rights. Let's go, ladies. Let's go, ladies. Some say the muses are 9, but how carelessly. Look at the 10th Sappho from Lesbos. Amazing. Amazing. Oh my goodness. Now that I'm thinking about it, aren't the BRICS countries trying to make their own economic system and currency to fight the US dollar? If that happens, it would definitely change things by a lot. BRICS countries. BRICS? Oh. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. New members could potentially include Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. That could work. That could work. The very interesting thing of doing stuff like this, though, is that means we are getting all the closer to the perfect... Hold on. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There it is. We're getting closer and closer, chat, to the perfect currency. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. It's another WebP file! Okay, there we go. Bit loading. Bit loading, chat. Bit loading. Hold on. To the perfect currency of the euro dollar. The Night City euro dollar. Eddies, baby. Cold, hard eddies. We need to relate money to something real like CO2, free resources, or energy. I mean, we could bring back the technocracy movement. Euro dollar, you saying? All about those eddies, baby. Gotta get those eddies. Get rich or die trying. Euro mansions. No, but not actual euro. Although technically in Cyberpunk, this is from the fucking European Union, which has essentially become the global currency. The fused, the combined currency of the euro dollar. Hold on, before I swap back to the other screen, I want to put the incentives back. Okay. And then we can go back to the full screen. Excellent. All right, guys. Oh, wait a second. There we go. There we go. All right, chats. Do you want to get into paranormal twinks? Reichsmark rides again? No. Unmentioned euro? Yes, unmentioned euro. Which is much like Turkey and is looking for #1 first platform? What do you mean? Please tell me the BRICS countries are going to call their currency BRICS, right? Right, they're gonna if they make their own currency, they're gonna call them BRICS, right? The yaps grow. Oh my god, this is yapping. It's always yapping. The whole stream is yapping for these. All right, let me see. Why did I just get an 8-year-old defunct land recommendation? All right. We need our paranormal twinks. Videos. White Hill Mansion. At night, a demon possessed me. Oh, Christ. I hate that these titles don't actually, like, say where they are. Because they're all just scariest moments. Survived. Scariest witch encounter. They're the most clickbait titles. But that's because the YouTube algorithm likes those. which is very weird. We're only in first yapping? Oh, okay, okay, I understand. I see. I see. I get it. I get it. That makes sense. To have them remove two-factor from my account because new phone? Oh, yeah, when I get a new phone number, I'm gonna have to change a lot of two-factors. Dealing with anyone that wants to make a deal? Wait a second. What is number one first platform? Made me seek you out, so here I am. Hey, Octography, how are you doing? Yeah. Big ol' shit's really good. Second yapping, only on first yapping. If people know what happened, they could go there and call them out for it being made up. Time to make our own YouTube algo with blackjacks and hookers. Yes, so what about second yapping? Chat constantly asking for more yapping. Chat, do you not like it when I play games anymore? Do you just want me to talk? Is that what this is about? Is it just talking? Is that all you want from me? Let me... Oh, it doesn't give me a preview of the location. It looks like their place they're staying at is like an old wooden cabin, at least according to this thumbnail. And I kind of want to do that one. Or... Oh my god, all of the like reused like ghost assets are so goddamn funny to me. The number of times I've seen the rake. Hookers, I know a Bakari who'd fit that rule. All right, but if she's getting dressed, she has to wear a skirt that covers her ass. Can't risk it like it was last time. Can't risk those cheeks hanging out. Indecent exposure is not something any of us want to get. Old wooden cabin haunted by baby Abraham Lincoln. Scariest 48 hours of my life. 24 hours. Pinhurst. Chat. Pinhurst Asylum. We can do Pinhurst Asylum. All right, hold on just a second. Shut up. Shut up. And then I need to make sure I change the audio before we swing over for this. Because now we're uploading the VODs, and now I have to be extra careful because the music is already not going to be in the VODs over on YouTube, but I do want to make sure the audio for these other things are. Let me see here. I think we're good. So, screen. And I need to slide over. And then give you this. There we go. No music for the tubers? No music because it would get absolutely struck. And honestly, VODs probably aren't going to be like crazy monetizable. At least like the just chatting ones aren't. Because we show other people's stuff pretty frequently. Also, hold on, my full screen's broken. There we go. I can see the model's hair at like the top part and the side part of my screen for some reason. That is so loud.
Was human. It felt like my whole body was kind of being crushed.
So you believe that something was trying to possess you?
I think so.
Hold on. How many people running ghost tours and or doing paranormal investigations can you have that have flat black hair? It's not about money. It's about the message. I mean, it's about them existing. Wait, which part existing? What's indecent about this exposure? I thought it was pretty good exposure. Legality. Yeah, legality is the reason. All right. Hi, cowboy. Hard tap. Oh, fuck, not them. Yes, Jade. Them. Our boys with the puffball jackets.
There's a bunch of stuff I cannot explain.
Look at that mustache. Look at this dude. Look at young Santa over here.
Welcome to another episode on our channel. Tonight,
That's
we're
new.
here in Pennsylvania State, ghost hunting at the infamous Penhurst Asylum. This place was once home.
Good lord, how many
to a
templates
lot
can you
of people
slam
who worked
into?
back in the day, and they spent
That was
Christmas
a good
and
zoom,
other
though. I like that
holidays.
zoom.
It is also known to hold one of the darkest entities deep down below.
What about scrolling the Marin archives? No one will ever zombie Marin again because the VODs are gone. Wait, Sunstar, don't you have a bunch of the VODs saved? I thought you did. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong.
In the Devon building.
This entity is unlike anything we've ever dealt with before.
You said that last week. You said that last week. Everything's new. Everything's new about ghost hunting.
And
Sure.
we're going to try and come in contact with it.
New
This
tools, new
investigation could
items.
possibly change our lives forever.
But before
Besides
we
the point?
continue,
Oh.
we would like to introduce you to our new friend, Ash Ivy!
I don't know how I got talked into this.
Wait, maybe I have seen this guy before.
Architecture's pretty cool. If I had unlimited money, I would definitely buy a church to like redo to
I'm sorry. I like the scream and not breaking the stride.
live in. That'd be cool.
Okay, that was that Egyptian. Okay.
So here's the funny thing.
I
he
guess?
actually plays horror games, and now he's doing a horror game in real life.
The problem is,
Okay, so what I hear is there's a chance. What I hear is there's a chance. Hi, Roderick. Spin the wheel. Oh, shit. Wait. Oh, shit, you did do Wheel of Punishment. All right, hold on. Don't derail us so soon. Don't derail us so soon. Oh, oh. Wow, we're actually getting a lot of Bean Poozles recently. What the hell? All right, hold on. Also, somebody's here. I need to go let Coco out of the room because she just came out of the bed. Yes, Stinky. All right, we got to do these beans. What do we have? What do we have? Oh, shit. It's a brown one. Liver and onions or cappuccino. Neither of these I remember ever being very good. I think it's liver and onions. Ugh.
never enjoyed playing horror games. I just, I'm a man of the people. That's what I mean.
Lies. Lies. Horror games are fun, even if you were primarily playing asset flip games in that fucking trailer thing that they just showed. I'm dying. Okay, it took me forever to swallow that bean. All right, Anya, welcome in. How are you doing? With the Coco Taco? She is my puppo. She is my puppo.
Right?
But I let her in during the last commercial break and she had been under my bed this whole time.
Fresh, dude.
Fresh?
Yeah.
Oh. I have a lot of cheese in this mustache, actually. We had cheese
Is that why
steaks
it's,
earlier,
like,
and it
kind
just
of
sops it up like a mop.
yellow?
It's not a good thing.
We're out ghost hunting.
Is that what it's like, Chant? Does anybody here have a majestic mustache like that can confirm how much food gets stuck in your mustache? My grandpa used to always make the joke that he has a mustache for the sole purpose of saving his soup for later. I hope the ghosts eat him.
He's talking about getting cheese in his mustache.
You said something fresh.
Ash, I have a question.
I mean, to be fair, that is
Have
fresh
you
for this
ever
channel.
been ghost hunting before?
Never in my life. To be honest, I never thought I'd be doing something like this. So this is absolutely crazy, especially with 3 guys I met.
Wait, are you telling me, as the person, this man that plays horror games pretty fucking frequently, of all of the indie horror games he's probably played, he has not once thought that he would end up going ghost hunting? Maybe he is just a man of the people. Maybe he is just doing this because it's popular for him. Good question.
Literally today.
Also, question number 2, do you believe in the paranormal?
I
No.
want to say no.
No.
But I'm curious enough that I'm here, right?
That is exactly why we wanted you to come with us, so we can try and change your mind.
We're gonna try to change your minds. Ah, yes, the outward skeptic. Every ghost hunter wants to bring their skeptic with them.
Does look a little creepy, so there's that also.
Are you scared?
No. No.
No,
Is that still filming?
couldn't be. Couldn't be. Is that him breathing?
Oh, I go now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that nice to confirm that I'm like a baleen whale for breadcrumbs and barbecue sauce? Oh no.
All right, what?
This is the Penhurst Asylum.
All right, Ember, when are you gonna draw other Ember with a
Located in
mustache?
Spring City, Pennsylvania, stands as a haunting reminder
You should draw.
of
You
a
should
dark
draw other
chapter
Ember
in
with
mental
a
health care history.
a finger twirling
all over
mustache.
the country who are still trying to figure out how to help people for all of what's happened to them at these
What man? Jump
Originally
scare.
opened
That's
in
every one of
1908
these
as the Eastern
videos.
Pennsylvania State Institution for the Feeble-Minded and Epileptic. It was intended to house
Wait, why specifically epileptic? I feel like that would. I feel like at that day and age, it probably would have fallen into like feeble-minded or something. But the fact that it was specifically separate is kind of funny. Wait, maybe I've forgotten about it. Send it to me, Ember. Send it to me. I want to see it.
with physical
I
and
may have seen it
mental
before.
disabilities.
I may have seen it before, but I've just forgotten.
Protective environment. That was sort of the original intent.
However,
Claire
over the
Obscure?
years,
What do you want
the
about Claire
institution
Obscure?
became notorious for overcrowding, abuse, and neglect.
That trauma that they
Yeah, like
experienced, you know,
almost
is
every
still
other
felt within the
historical
walls.
By 1957,
mental asylum in the United
institution
States.
housed over 3,500 patients, far exceeding its intended capacity.
Is referred to as hysteria and all. I heard of that kind of shit, but long ago.
Reproductive relations were forbidden so that if there was a genetic cause to their disability, it could be not
Claire
passed on to
Obscure.
anybody else.
Reports of mistreatment
I don't know
were
what you're-
rampant, and many patients were subjected to inhumane treatments, including forced labor, physical abuse,
I don't know.
and
I'm guessing that's a
unsanitary
spoiler
living
because I'm still
environments.
only
And
in
some
Act
cases,
1.
People were restrained for extended periods
And
of
I have
time
not played
or
it since we
subjected
played
to
it on stream the
experimental
other day.
procedures without their consent.
I was put up there September of 42. I was
Oh,
put in
God.
a dark room. I was sick as a dog in there.
These conditions persisted until the investigative reports in the
The
late
caption said
1960s
sap,
and
but
the
I'm pretty sure
eventual
that man said
lawsuits in the
sick as a
1970s
dog.
brought national attention to the facility's abuse.
I'm
which
pretty sure he
ultimately
said
would lead to
sick
its
as a
closure
dog.
in 1987.
It's not right. We just can't look ourselves in the mirror when you know what goes on in some of these institutions.
Damn, if only we did that shit now. If only we applied that same saying to so much other shit that we continue to do. But no, continue.
Today, the abandoned halls of Penhurst Asylum are said to be haunted by the spirits of the former patients.
I did have a really bad experience a few years ago. I was actually chased by
No, wait, I haven't seen this. Why haven't I seen this?
black mass.
Visitors and paranormal investigators have reported unexplainable phenomena.
No, I
including
don't think I saw
disembodied
this.
Voices, shadow figures, and sudden drops in temperature. One of those in particular
amazing.
is that of a malevolent entity, believed to reside down below where the crossroads are in the Devon building,
This is what we affectionately call the crossroads.
where many people have reported the sudden feeling of dread and even
All right.
physical attacks.
The stare and all that. I think it was kind of
Accounts from
shit, but long.
caretakers and
Not the
visitors
paranormal
alike
twinks? Yes,
describe
paranormal twinks.
terrifying encounters with this
Also, I'm lagging again. Model's lagging again. Weird.
dark entity. One caretaker
I think I'm gonna
specific
cry. Why are you
recounted an
gonna cry?
experience Where during an investigation in the crossroads, she felt an overwhelming force that seemed to
Shut the places down and displace 100,000 individuals that do need 24/7 assistance to be functional onto the streets. Correct.
For sure. And I'm going, get off me, get off me.
All right, guys, it's far worse for you to be in this facility where we're essentially beating you up. So instead, we're just gonna throw you out into the open. I wonder if there was a feasible increase in homeless population in the United. All right, side tangent time. Hold on, chat. Hold on. Hold on. U.S. How long do you think that they've been tracking homelessness? $100 years? We may have to go look at the wiki. Of course, Bowery houses, Hoovervilles. What is this? Okay, this is about multifamily homes constructed. But no, it looks like there's no continuous tracking of homelessness in the US over the years. Hard smack in the feels from left field. Yeah. Yeah. I would have liked to see if there was like a noticeable like blip at least in the years that many of these institutions shut down.
I was blacking out even because there were some things.
But no, that happens. That happens in here. Listen, a little bit of realism with every little bit of
Now this
paranormal
to flee the building in fear,
shenanigans.
making it very difficult for her to return to this area when she is alone.
Do you ever hesitate when you go to that area anymore?
Yes, all the time.
In another instance, a separate caretaker
That numbness I'm
reported
used to,
being
fucked
attacked
as it
by this
is.
entity
Yeah.
while exploring the tunnels beneath the asylum.
Or typically
She
by
had
region
claimed that
fast
it was
city,
almost
depending
as
on
if she was
anyone
forced up
actually
against
doing
the
it.
wall,
Exactly.
and every time she looked
And
in
I
one
promise you,
particular
much of the US
direction,
bureaucracy
a
did
black
not
mask
give a shit about
completely
those
blocked
kinds of
her
things.
vision.
Each time as I
Here.
looked in front
They
of me,
only care when they're typically apparent and obvious. Wait, what the heck is that emote? Is that a new gremlin emote? Wait, that's cute. Yeah, especially in the earlier years, the US bureaucracy, local bureaucracy especially, didn't care until it became obvious. Until there were obviously people just like always around, always wandering around, sleeping on the street, doing that jazz. But even then, there weren't like numbers. There weren't like an exact way to keep track. They can only estimate. Rachel and June with their thumbnail saying, "Was my miscarriage?" Wait, what? What? That is one fucking hell of a video opener. Jesus. Yeah, it still doesn't care. They still don't care. They get the numbers basically on stats.
I was being held up against the
It's
wall
more
and
like
I had the
guesstimates.
hardest time standing up.
She
Are
described
they educated
feeling as if she
guesstimates?
was about to
Yeah.
pass out and had to leave those tunnels.
Yeah.
These experiences cemented this area as one of the most active places
But
for
it's
this
really
entity,
hard
and
to
where
get
many of
an
the
exact
sightings have
number.
come from.
Especially when they could probably
themselves,
like the
once
easiest
used
one
to
to count.
transport
Hold on.
patients and staff to
The easiest to count is probably something like what is it? I'm brain farting. Essentially like citizens, like you could probably count citizens via like who filed taxes with a permanent address the year before versus like who didn't. If they filed taxes at all. I don't think you would have to file taxes if you're homeless, and I hope to God you don't. Hope to God you don't. That would just be another footfall on the like bottomless pit of what homelessness leads to. Anyway, okay, we don't need to talk about that. We're doing paranormal investigation. We're doing paranormal investigation.
One night, I was hearing knocking down there, so I went down there and okay.
I can stop crying, man. I can stop crying.
like
Also, I do not pay taxes.
These long stretched passages are often
I'm a VTuber. I don't pay
described as
taxes.
claustrophobic and oppressive. With visitors
Totally don't pay
reporting
taxes.
footsteps, voices, and fleeting apparitions, the combination
Mainly
of the
because I
asylum's
spent more
tragic
than I
history
made
and the
this
reported
past year.
supernatural occurrences contribute to its reputation as one of the most haunted places
You know,
in the world.
as you do.
The legacy of Penhurst Asylum serves as a somber reminder to the consequences of neglect.
I'm
and poor
French.
treatment.
Not paying
While
taxes
this
is a
facility
duty.
no
Isn't all
longer
of your
in
taxes like
operation, its
automatic?
history continues to captivate and horrify
Isn't
those who
it?
choose to delve into its past. Whether viewed as a
Wasn't
site of
it?
historical significance or as a place for all things spooky, Penhurst remains a powerful
Taxes are
symbol of the need
homophobic.
for compassion
Correct.
and ethical treatment in mental health care. So our
Got
goal
moved up a
is,
tax bracket this last year, so I did
like,
pay, but not an unreasonable
right now,
amount.
We're
Yep.
gonna leave in a few minutes to make our way to this asylum, which is quite
That's a
possibly
European
the
car,
most
guys.
haunted
You
in the
can't
world,
fool me.
Definitely the most haunted that we've ever been to find out if any of these stories are
Damn,
true,
these guys really
and
just
to
use
see if we
whatever
can come in
B-roll looks
contact with
coolest.
That entity that hangs out at the crossroads and
Outside the
or down
tent
in
saying
the
they're-
creepy tunnels. Either way, it's gonna be fun.
But before we
Isosaurus
do jump into this
agents.
episode,
Oh.
if you are not subscribed to our channel yet, you keep finding yourselves coming back.
You
please hit the
should,
subscribe button. We are on our way
Kick their
to
ass and run for
1.2
it.
milli. Baby.
Who's milling?
Just have to keep rhyming. Also, if you can, please hit the like button because that lets us know that you do and have been enjoying
Paying taxes
what
are
we've been up to.
already be
Unfortunately, for some
unreasonable?
reason, YouTube's kind of not
In the US,
notifying
yes.
any of you guys. So please,
I mean, in most
make
other
sure
countries,
you hit the
taxes
notifications
tend
bell because it'll let
to
you
go
know when we do
towards
post every single
where
Sunday
they're needed.
at 1 p.m. BST. Every single
And
week
not
we
to
like
bombing
shout out
weddings.
3
Anyway.
of you beautiful, Beautiful.
All right,
beautiful
hold on. He's
Philly
gonna do his thing
cheesesteaks,
again.
Good guy. Well, we're going to Philadelphia, baby, and we
Oh.
never had a Philadelphian. Can you say that? Philadelphian Philly cheesesteak.
Just
Gonna
say Philly
happen. I
cheesesteak,
wanna
dude.
whiz it
Also,
out.
hold on.
Philadelphian Philly.
That's AI, isn't it? That's an AI sandwich, isn't it? I can't tell. It looks pretty convincing, mostly. But it also looks like it was cut out of something else because, like, I can see sesame seeds on top of the bun over here, and then they get cut off over here for some reason. But then, like, this is also just kind of a messy looking sandwich to start with. It could be real. They could have just cut it out of some other art. It's the Apple Gen 1. Oh, interesting. All right, we have an ad break. I'm going to give y'all words, but I'm not going to go anywhere. So we can still smack shit. Smack lip. Nah, it's generated, is it? Maybe. The onions are a little weird. But it's also shockingly convincing. Mainly because it looks like a stylized art piece. But it's also that weird middle ground of realism and artistic liberty that makes me think it's AI too. Don't mind me just trying to find some clothes of your fad would fit a small goober like me. I mean, okay, so I have the crew neck. I have my own crew neck from like the merch, if that's what you're talking about. And it's short. It's quite short. That's just a heads up. It's not like if you want a like fully fitting, what's a crew neck? Sweater with like out a hood or anything like that. In fact, it's too small at this point after I washed it, that I don't think I can even wear it. I got one that was like supposed to be my exact size, and then I washed it the other day and I tried to put it on, and the sleeves are already too short. I got long arms. I have long arms. All the better to reach through the monitor and strangle chat with. Listen, sometimes you gotta do things, okay? It's fine. It's fine. All right, chat. Time to talk. Come here. Come here, bitch! Hi, chat. How are you doing up there? Anyway. All right. Oh, I need to move over more. Mary's gonna reach through and take my keychain. Let me go, you vixen! Never! Come here, small one. Come here, little gobbo. And I already know you're bottom heavy, so we're gonna try to avoid breaking your spine when I swing you around, but that's besides the point. She yoinked me! Get yoinked, loser. All right, we're already down to 30 seconds, so we're not gonna do another words on stream. But yeah, I think it's AI, but it could also not be. It's like that weird, gross middle ground of feeling like stylized art and being, and I quote you, what the fuck is slutty waist? You do have a slutty waist. What are you talking about? Tia, have you seen, do you know what your own pelvis looks like? All right, hold on a second. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. All right, we're doing this. The cheese reeks of AI. It is pelvis sluts. It's on Blue Sky. Good, because Twitter's not loading at all for some reason. Oh God, I don't follow you on Blue Sky. All right. Fixed. Look at that shit. Literally right below the chest. Not even fully to the stomach yet, and it immediately just tapers out. Girl, you bell-shaped. Boss. Just through BS stuff. I constantly forget to follow people on Blue Sky, and I like always do. You're bell-shaped. You look, hold on. No. I was trying to think back to my years of being one of the altar servers. Kind of like these bells. As you. You look like a hand church bell. I'm paintbrush shaped? Correct. I like it speaks to my Salvadorian blood. Taco Bell shaped. I just post random shit when I remember that I have Blue Sky. DMs them out. Uh-oh. Yep, just grab a Tia and use it to paint the house. It's fine. It's fine. I just used listen to blue notify for the notifications. You don't follow me? Why don't you follow me on Blue Sky? My own mod hates me. Tia Painter. Oh my god, from Tia Singer to Tia Painter. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, that's definitely bottom heavy. All right. Anyway. Sorry, freak of the week. All right.
Philly cheesesteak. Gonna happen. I want a whiz without, meaning you want a Philly cheesesteak with cheese whiz and no onions. Whiz without.
Stop trying to be cool. Just because I hip check you into the sun. You think you can hip check me into the sun? Me. All this. Like more like you could probably like shatter my knees. Second mod, do not follow a go round. I'm not needed to, I guess. How could you? How could you? Feeling like a freak on a leash? No, freak of the week. This VTuber. Wait, what? Use my suspected EDS to overflex? EDS? He says deadass and has black Timberland books. Boots. I'm guessing is what you meant. The Timberland boots. I mean, he is wearing a puffy jacket.
Thanks, Ash. Here.
Oh,
here,
gotcha.
And here. If you would like to be shouted out on
chat, do I need to do the lecture on what this is? On what is up with these shoutouts? Would you like me to explain? Or are we good? We can talk about content creation tactics of what is essentially just baiting. Marin got the boots with the fur. Do y'all want to hear it? One's in chat if you want to hear the lecture again, because I do this at the beginning of almost every one of their videos. To the geneticist for full confirmation after 23andMe from years ago. Oh boy. Put sheep go round in the comments. Yeah, if you watch this VOD, put all up to this point, put sheep go round in the comments. All right, lecture time then, kids. When it comes to doing shoutouts like this is an extremely easy way, especially because they're already popular. They're already post 1 million subs. An easy way to get people to do shit like this. What they essentially ask for is obviously like repost, leave a comment on their Instagram post. Now, Instagram algorithms do the same thing Twitter's do typically, and that's the more it's interacted with, the more it is spread. So in this case, it's an easy way for them to get probably hundreds of thousands of comments or people posting, which we can actually go check. Here, to make it easier, they probably have it in there. That's Ash. Instagram. I don't have an Instagram, nor will I ever, but we'll pick... So see, 800 comments, 1,800 comments, 1,200, 1,700, 10K likes on almost everything. But this isn't about their, hold on. Let's see real quick what they look like on their individual ones. Oh, wait, no, this is Twitter. Okay, so maybe there's just the one Instagram. But yeah, 1,000 comments with 10K likes on a platform like Instagram is really good. But essentially is, I can't even view the comments without having an account. Fuck. I was gonna see if I could show you like how many are probably literally just the comments of what is basically like this, a hashtag followed by something else. So essentially this is why do I keep saying basically? I keep saying basically all the time. It is a baiting tactic. You get these people to easily come in who think that getting a shout out like this does something. Ran aground in Norway right onto some guy's front lawn. All right, so is he like raiding the cargo ship right now? Hey, figure out who that guy is. If you comment Snookersfield on Marin's latest Blue Sky post, you'll get the knowledge that you posted on Marin's post. Well, it's basically to get a shout out. And honestly, these shout outs do nothing. I doubt there was a single person out of the, hold on, we can make sure, out of the almost 500,000 people that have watched this video have gone and followed these people. Guaranteed. Almost guaranteed. That is a child. Kronkston, that picture is a child, and I could see it, even though it's slightly blurred. But talk about this real quick. Okay. Oh, what the fuck? Okay, but yeah, it's essentially a bait tactic to get free interactions that spreads their content further and farther apart with the minimum amount of effort. So all they have to do is show 3 random people they pick.
On next week's episode, all you hear.
And here, let's go back.
Whiz wit out. Thanks, Ash. Here, and here. If you would like to
And
be
that
shouted out on
is-
next week's episode, all you need to.
Okay, that is about 4 seconds of screen time in an hour and 22-minute video. Before they're just gone. They're just gone to the abyss.
To our Twin Paranormal Instagram account.
Sheep go round
follow
on
that
Baron's
account,
channel.
Go to the latest post, heart that post, and comment down below.
Listen, just go comment on the
guys in Philly. Also,
Gross.
huge announcement: merch is finally coming.
Next,
we will announce.
Next. Go back. Too far.
Are you
too far? Okay.
Now that we know the history of Penhurst Asylum,
Did one basket of them got to spread those eggs? If shout-outs work, I don't have an Instagram. And they don't really work on other...
Guys, come on. You guys can't just leave. Oh, here we go. This is River's specialty.
Just backs away slowly. You should post on your stream chat. It's funnier. Yeah.
You would put your lips on that? Oh
I
my
agree. It is funnier.
Whoa!
Jesus, I hate
Oh
that.
my god!
Look at that.
I can't see. It looks like a sunshine.
My eyes!
That was like a mega freaking.
You gotta know how to play the system. I know how to play the system. I just hate it, so I don't.
Craziest things tonight.
If it lands.
Yeah.
Why do you think I made that weird post a couple days ago of the I can see you? I see what you did.
All right.
That's bait.
Put your hands
That's
together.
bait,
We
guys.
chant before each and every investigation because we never know if this is going
It's
to be
bait.
Ash's last night.
Am I gonna do more bait in the future?
Sorry, it was nice knowing you.
On the count of
Maybe.
3. 1, 2, 3.
Maybe.
Ash's last
I don't know.
night. He'll blind us with his light. If he does die, then we better do it right.
Let's go.
They planned that shit fucking beforehand.
Are calling out to the spirits or
The
entity
master of
here in
baiting. Yes,
Penhurst Asylum.
correct.
We are here at the crossroads because we heard the story about this entity. We have these special devices that'll give you the ability to show us where you are. We also have some devices that'll give you the ability
go.
to use your words, whether it's one word or a whole sentence.
Sure, I'm
Now,
sure that's
whoever's
totally
here,
reliable.
Can you please give us some information?
Hats don't work with this model.
Can you please approach us?
Because it
Okay, I
just
think the
twists.
first
I
thing
don't know what it's like
I want
bonded
do is Turn
to.
this device on. See if they want to talk to us.
Yeah, it's just
Now, before we started rolling,
I can still see. It's fine.
that REM pod started going off. Not only that,
Hmm.
there's also a room right
Anyway.
next to Ash.
Anyway.
Where I put a music box, and the music box.
When you
detects
don't even tag the
movement.
seeing.
That started going crazy.
seeing?
So I reset it, and after that is when the REM pod started going off.
Isn't that the room too where they?
I just uncheck hair layers.
And it comes from.
Yeah.
Oh, that could work.
Device going on. Our friend here, it's his first time. For a lot of things.
Ghost
But
dragging them
in
to
this
hell for
case, it's
false
ghost
advertising.
hunting.
That's a
Can you let
toy.
us know who
Smack.
you are? Hi. First word, hi.
Can you tell us who you are?
No, that makes sense.
Some people are scared of you.
I think it's also because of like how
Made that device
it like
go off,
crunches
then made
the
the
side of the
grandpa
hair
go
when I
off.
turn to
What if
this
they
side
made
and when I
it
turn
over
this
there
way.
and slam the door? Because that's what we heard right after all of that. Right?
Well, we did need to go back to system gating class. Oh no. Yeah, but doing hashtags on Twitter is
Think something
actually
just got
worse
thrown
for
over
you,
here? Can you do that again?
which is
Please.
annoying. It works on Blue Sky.
We heard that
Go
you
on Blue
don't
Sky.
like when people aren't scared of you. Ash isn't scared of you.
I guess gotta go walk the dog. All right, but you gotta do it physically.
My door. Show me some little toes. Show me something on the other side of that door, please.
Never back down, never what? Overlord, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't know what to say. Ask them what they know.
What is your name?
Oh. Thank you for the follow, Overlord. What's up? Thank you for self-care.
Did you that whistle?
Whistle.
I swear
Hold
on
on.
everything.
Oh, I'm not clicked
there was
onto
a
the thing. Go back.
Oh.
Did you that whistle?
No, I didn't.
I swear on
There was
everything.
no
There was a
whistle.
whistle.
You didn't even do the bootleg thing that other ghost investigators do where they... Also, world was misspelled. Where they do the thing where they just like insert the thing to try and force people to hear things that aren't actually there. Yes, Faye, what can I do for you? All right, Faye, so when are we doing paranormal investigations? But we're going to do it dressed as clowns. Is it bad I now really want to do that? Can we do that? As soon as you get here, let's go. Let's go.
The world has changed. Shut the
Now hold on. Okay, listening, going on. Go ahead.
They've
I'll
seen
wait.
this entity as a tall shadow with glowing red eyes.
Yes.
Had a hard life. Yep.
Not
Mine's
clown
at home.
investigating?
Lots
Yes.
of the patients here were treated.
We're gonna make it meta, okay?
Yeah, the world has changed.
It's
Probably
it's
looks a lot
clown
different
ghost
now.
investigations.
Can you tell us what time
And
you're
it's totally
from?
not
What was
a
the year?
meta analysis
If you
on
are
the fact
around,
that ghost hunters
You
are
can hear
fucking
my
clowns.
voice. Can you make a knock, please?
Is in fact not. Is in fact making noises. It's
do you
just the
mean
lip
found?
movements making us hear sounds. It's just like what I said I do whenever I like record one of those silent clips, so it looks like I'm talking, and I just do the. Anyway, we can go to yes, and we're staying the night in the haunted hotel, right, Faye?
Just said blood.
We're staying the night in the haunted hotel, right?
They keep secrets.
Clowns revealing non-clowns as clowns. There you go. There you go. That's the plan.
Did mine beep when everyone was talking?
Boo Boo the Fool, please, please report in. Over. How was the basement?
Are you trying to tell us what happened to you? Died.
Whoa, dude. Who
Ooh.
are you? Were you a patient?
We're trying to contact the shadow spirit.
There's one thing I was given. Apparently, if you say his name,
Anyway, sorry. Sorry if that's really annoying.
I have his name in my pocket.
Also, in this picture, I'm pretty sure there are at least two of what are basically the same thing, which is the REM pod, which is if certain energies, y'all can't see my massive middle finger level air quotes, energies come within proximity of the REM pod, it's going to light up and make noise. If like this bell on the bottom left, you can see like the black box next to the little dog toy. That bell will ding on occasion, and I'm honestly almost certain that it's random. I would have to take apart that bell toy to see how it works. But I almost genuinely think that it actually has its own pull mechanism on the inside, as opposed to like somebody actually dinging the bell on top. But I would have to take a look at one of those contraptions to see. Random isn't real. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of these tools are frankly random or picking up on things that are irrelevant. But ghosts are real? Sure. And I say this is somebody that lived in a house built in 1888 that, by local paranormal investigators, was called the most haunted place they'd ever been in. Twice. On fucking TV. They got interviewed after doing a overnight thing at the Dr. Pepper Museum, which is also for some reason believed to be haunted. And they called, at the interview, they called the house I grew up in the most haunted place they'd ever been in. Roger, why did you just at me with nothing else to it? I live on a World War I battlefield? Sure.
Piece of paper folded.
And?
I've not seen his name.
This is the most haunted place I've ever been in. It's just a bunch of very tired people.
Thank you for respect.
I totally haunt the Dr. Pepper Museum. Oh no. Damien.
Hi, Damien.
Also, hold on. Wait for him to.
Damien.
Okay. Let's get a clearer picture. This thing on his wrist, we've looked into it. It's it's one of the Ghost Seer things. This is basically just a big screen on his hand that gets the Ghost Seer app, which I actually do have. And we've used it here. We've used it while we're on stream, which I will actually do this. Ghost Tube Seer. Oh, volume warning. Oh no, sorry, not the Seer. The Seer is the one that does the AI pictures. Spirit Talker, that's it. It's Spirit Talker. Yeah, fucking Seer is an app that basically creates like the early AI generator stuff. If you know the ones I'm talking about, the ones that look like horrible flesh amalgamations from like early AI generation. Good morning, hi Lucian. Got to sell all the ghost equipment to up the funds for Bowen Coin. But it's to get the point across. I've turned mine on. I'm actually going to turn the volume up on my phone. And you will probably... Joy. See? It just... I think my brain reset. What the fuck just happened? My lungs? What about my lungs? Are you in my lungs? I'm awake. Good morning. I hate whoever. That would be Jang. That would be Jang. Totally live transcribing the ghost words to us. I mean, it is saying it. I don't know how well it picks up on phone.
Whoa.
Or from phone to microphone.
Were you a patient?
I may or may not have had a mini heart attack. Goofy.
Would that be a bad idea?
That is 90% of the reason, which is why it's also 500 bits.
You want us to read the name?
Thank you for the $5.
I'm happy for you to stay.
Are you giving us
But
permission
that
to
is
be here?
basically a separate contraption that the company sells that just is a watch version.
We did not see the name.
I am almost certain it is just a word bank.
Take care of
I am
yourself.
almost 100% certain that
you to
the
look
Mortis
away,
fucking
'cause
voice.
I can't see it either.
Whoever's here, did you see the name on the paper?
So far, we got one name. What do you guys say if we get a couple more names?
Too loud skill issue, or I'm going deaf? I mean, I also listen to streams at a slightly lower volume, so even things that are like crazy loud aren't as loud as they are to everyone else for me.
Really bad feeling.
That was very loud to me though.
I don't like this.
Train camera. I don't have a camera.
Eyes on you.
Shut up.
Stares at iPhone
Okay,
in front of
if you
me.
have eyes on us,
Nope, still full
you
battery.
touch one of these
Still full
devices.
battery.
Who the fuck is we?
We came here to talk to
But
you
yeah,
and find
it's.
this shadow.
I usually
See
get
what you
these
guys
equipment
are
or
all
test some of
capable
it on occasion, in order basically just to show kind of how
You know what I'm talking about?
goofy it
The
is.
last thing you said.
Because they're more
We.
toys than anything.
who the heck is
Same thing with this app.
we?
It's literally just a pay-to-use app. I don't remember how much it was. Chat, do you remember? Was this thing $5? Was this app $5? I know y'all bought it for me at the time. Y'all were like, "Here's the money. Go get it."
Else, will you touch that red light in front of our friend Ash there?
Thinking about it?
But you know,
Ash's name,
as you
so I
do,
think it might be a little bit
as
more
you do.
fair to introduce all four of us.
There was another sound at my door.
I was gonna say, I did hear a tap. I did hear a metallic tap. I will give them that one.
No.
I have sugar. What is sugar gonna do?
Granted, my room also makes like weird,
Why do you have sugar? I have 2 sugars.
like noises throughout the night, like when I'm trying to go to sleep. But again, like it's just shit fucking settling or like my PC cooling down.
Yeah.
There's just something, I don't know why, but there's the way it said it with the Mortis voice that
You in
it's
that room?
extremely unintimidating.
Please.
I'm Inky. What are you going to do about it?
You guys want to hear something that I was told?
Sorry, that's us shuffling in the walls.
What?
I don't think there's room in the walls.
I just said satanic.
Satanic. Okay. While I
Hi,
was
Christopher.
outside,
I don't know
was
if y'all heard
told
that one.
That this entity.
Should I turn it up more to see if it picks up on the mic?
That somebody came to try and cleanse this
Christopher.
whole building, all of the buildings, and he said that this energy, this
All right.
darkness, is way too powerful. That we would need like an army of people, like 100 people.
Okay, but why? But why? Too powerful? Too powerful? Is it okay? Is this just World of Darkness where humans are the bottom of the chain? Did you see it? Did you see it? Wait, what was it? What was our, is it exclamation C? Yeah, there it is. Did you see it? There's the cabinet-sized hollow spot in my wall. Store all the people in there. Oh. Why people doing that kind of stuff are always so fucking goofy. I agree, especially when somebody comes on to these ghost online, like ghost investigators, and they're like, I'm a psychic. And I'm like, no. It's also even funnier whenever, oh, I'm lagging again. Come on, model, come on. Cursed? Yes, I am. Please and thank you. I'm already well aware of it. What do you... Where's my husband? Where's my husband? Goopy, are you my husband? Not even got it pinned to your clipboard? Wait, what? Where the hubby? Yep. Damn it, I keep lagging. Hold on a second. Let me go back to VTube Studio and see if I can... I'm like delayed. I think it's something it doesn't like being like thrown into the background. So like after a while, it kind of develops this husband. Yeah, husband. Where's my husband? I have a hubsand. Hubsand. But what was I saying? I brain farted. Where am I? Who are you people? Anyway.
My home.
I forgot. I lost my train of thought. Whomstuff is this husband of which you speak? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. The goat, wonderful. Yes, my husband is wonderful, whoever he is. I have no memory of him.
What the
Was the guy that they brought
I have no idea who my husband is. But according to this app, my husband is wonderful.
That's what that means.
Sometimes.
Wait.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. It's the thing with like those paranormal investigators that bring in psychics, and the psychics like biggest level of evidence is shit that's like, I'm glad my husband is obviously wonderful. Please and thank you. That the psychics that they bring in always have this like other shit. You know what? Maybe ghosts are real. They're agreeing with me. There's some bad energy. But when they come in, no, they don't do like the bad energy thing. They're like evidence or like their credibility that they always try to pitch is like my great aunt or my grandma was a psychic way back in the like 60s or before, you know, during sensationalized mysticism when it was novel and fun and goofy to go to a person who decorated their apartment to look all spooky and ominous and give fortunes. Sure, I believe your grandma was psychic. Totally. 2 goofy thumbs up with a rigid ass smile. Bro, the vibes in this house be rancid. Damn. Bang. Bang. Huh.
Malicious.
Why bang?
Legion, sometimes alone.
Whoa.
And you were telling the story
What do you mean, whoa?
down here and it says trace father.
Seriously. Is that just something closing?
Frustration.
Many died here.
It's an
Is that why you're
asylum.
here?
Duh.
Attached to this place?
That is a non-significant number.
Another thing I was told, when this entity shows up.
Sorry, did I say
everybody else
non-significant?
leaves.
That is a
All the
significant
other
number.
spirits.
You gotta do what you gotta do for food. If it's telling people what they want or need to hear, who am I to not make things up? Hey, listen, I mean, if they're coming in here and they believe that I'm psychic, who am I to not convince them of such and give them bounteous fortunes?
A man here. Is it the entity?
Man, these vibes are so off, man. So 2006, bruh.
Wrong basement, but they believe this entity makes himself.
Listen, if I could have,
to trick people.
if I could have like an old style fortune telling
That's a
room.
motion sensor.
Yes,
We're trying to
that's your
contact the
sixth
evil
device.
spirit,
That is
the
basically
dark
just,
one.
yo guys, the energy is off.
Can you say your name, please? Look above.
Look up.
I ain't moved. I ain't moved. Wait, didn't?
Good luck.
No, Ren didn't give me like.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get up.
No, he didn't. Okay.
If I get up.
Okie dokie.
Cool if I get up.
It's John Mortis. Correct. It is the Mortis voice. Mortis.
I mean,
Mortis.
Different device.
The board?
Are you frightened? Are you frightened?
Does. Is it telling them as if they're like, they have a Ouija board? Is it using the random assumption that they have a Ouija board?
Do you believe in us? Are you frightened?
Look at the sleeper believes in having
you touch
spirit
that harder,
one. I
please?
have spirit one. Listen, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Or
In
could it
that
just be
room,
entropy?
There's a device that if you step in
Don't
front
mess
of it,
with me.
it
What are
will
you gonna do?
make
Put your
music.
dukes up? Come on, put your dukes up.
I don't like that. All right.
Let's get down to it.
Is that
I need to get a. Anybody know that goofy ass meme of the two dudes like they're squaring up with each other?
Yes.
I need that, but I need it to be me squaring up with just a random ghost.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and reset it.
Use the board, pray, chop your veggies, and prep for lunch. Ooh.
Can you repeat
Oh,
it for us?
I still have all those pizza ingredients, and I feel bad not using them. Maybe I'll see if my grocery store has like pre-made dough today. If I can do that, that'd make it much easier because I don't have to wait for it to rise or anything.
Your sugar?
Something.
Hold on a second. I'm
Can you
gonna
do
check that
something?
out of curiosity. Show yourself, ghost. We're no longer asking. Are
And now that one.
you being so mean to
Okay.
them?
Let go.
Me
for a
being mean to
second,
them. And
Please?
listen, I'm always mean to ghosts. It's fine.
Back and forth. That's crazy.
that's wild.
Is your name Michael?
All right, chat. Get your guns.
People have seen me.
Hold
Can you
on.
show us? Can we see you?
Oh man.
Wait, like that's the spirit, or you're giving him a good attaboy?
Hide? You want us to hide?
Ah, shit.
When he comes, all the spirits
It went to
go
like an
away.
unused email.
they were just saying
Ghost
hi
hating,
because
add it
it's
to the
done.
list. I'm always ghost hating, baby. Are you surprised?
A little bit ago.
That's true.
Yeah.
The bad man is here. Hide.
Did everybody leave? Whoever's around us, and you can hear us.
Okay.
I want to be more proper with you. I'd like to go ahead and introduce
That's just
myself
V1 from
and the
Ultra
three
Kill. It does
others
kind of
who
sound
are
like
here
V1.
with
You're
me.
right.
My name is Ryan.
Is that the old voice from like an early Microsoft text to speech? Is that what it is?
I'm
Is it
Wyatt.
Microsoft Sam?
I'm Ash. And my name is River.
Chat, is that what it is?
It sounds like footsteps to me.
I was gonna say that was.
What the?
That was for sure walking.
Dude, everything's just going crazy right now.
Ooh.
Train. Say, I'm attached.
Oh no, they're frozen pizza doughs.
The situation.
No. Yeah, this is
I don't want frozen pizza doughs.
by the train.
Hear me.
That compromises the dough.
We're listening. I'm gonna knock again.
They don't have any like bagged dough or anything. All I hear is V1, Lamass, and then Gianni. Gianni doesn't voice. He voices Gabriel. He doesn't voice V1, I'm pretty sure. What do you mean the
Can you
trains
knock
are in the
back?
trees? It does sound like V1 though.
Seriously.
I'm pretty sure though it's Microsoft Sam. Something like that.
Once
Scream!
again, who is this? If it's not the bad man.
Ordain, why are you
who's
biting?
living with us right
Why are
now?
you biting?
How are you involved with this building?
Abandonment.
Okay, hold on.
Go ahead. Can you make that play again? The music box? Dude, it is said when places become abandoned, an entity is able to take over.
It's said. It's said. It's said.
So you
Wait,
made
chat.
your way here when this place was
Should I
vacant?
make pizza pockets
When it was
instead?
empty?
Should I go get that like Pillsbury Doughboy like pizza crust dough that they sell in the refrigerated section? Oh shit. Oh shit, I skipped. I fucking dropped my phone and it skipped. Where the fuck were we?
Heard
And I could make them into pizza pockets instead.
to us? Yes. Stuck here.
Hi Flo, how are you doing?
I thought I heard something stepping gravel over there.
Time for me to bite the
We're all
marine?
dead.
There's no marine here. Well, I don't think there is. Sound off if you're a marine. Hoorah.
I swear
Am
on
Ebi, well, good morning, princess.
came
No sleeping, no sleeping no more.
towards this
Pizza. Marinza. I have an entire fucking jar of vodka sauce, you guys. I need to use it, and I have cheese that is gonna go bad.
Oh my god, I'm getting the chills, bro.
Could you just ask
Who
a
are
ghost
you?
to up your percentage to show themselves and that they're with us, but really you're just charging your dead phone?
I'm hearing up right now, bro.
I don't know.
I don't know why.
I do not know.
Are you talking about
I just
this
eat
room?
ghosts. Knife
Some
and fork,
people
baby.
believe
Knife and fork.
That when they go in this room, you don't
Cannibal
like it.
horse.
Probably not.
not a
Wait,
good
does that
idea,
just mean it's a horse that eats other horses? That's not nearly as threatening as it sounds.
Probably not. It's
dangerous.
dangerous.
I just got done saying.
Marin's Pac-Man?
when they go in there.
Listen, it's fine. It's fine. Ghosts are delicious. They avoid me at all costs, which is probably why I don't think they're real.
Proof. Oh my god, dude, my body.
Waka waka waka.
Yeah, I cannot. It's in shock.
That was different.
I still can't get over the fuzzy jacket.
Guys.
What do you mean Ace Hardware has Italian pizza dough?
I'm attached to the woods.
What do you mean?
I think we do, yeah.
Permission. Yes, we're here.
Hmm.
Wait for calm down.
Ghost hater, local ringleader, just really mean to ghosts. Really, really mean to ghosts.
That's so weird.
I cast ghost fire on the ghost. Is that like the black and white ghost fire from like Elden Ring? Is that what you're on about?
Okay, we're gonna make our way to that door.
Horses eat each other all the time, do they?
Or the darkness that it keeps calling itself
Horses
is.
are
I don't think it's the only
herbivorous though.
This doesn't feel.
Obligate herbivores.
But
What's for no? Liam, cutting it close. Cutting it close is the first time message.
are you a demon?
Listen, it's funny. I can respect it. It's close to a different word though. I know what you're replacing it with.
Go.
Ham.
That's it. Let's go.
Don't know. Only know ghost fire hurts the ghost. Do you know what ghost fire is?
Save yourself.
Just a will-o-wisp. Just holds up tiny will-o-wisp.
Save yourself, demonic.
You just asked that.
Do you want to kill us?
Opportunistic carnivores that will eat chicks. Oh.
Wait.
I'm,
Would you ask it?
I mean, I suppose. I'm also pretty sure all their teeth are
Where's the
flat.
gateway?
Mostly.
Where we left. You're.
I don't know what you're talking about, miss.
Are you
Mhm.
talking about the cross?
Fire that died out, obviously. Oh, yes, after a fire dies out, everybody knows in the afterlife there's another fire there.
Think about this. What if this entity
Does that mean every region that's ever had a wildfire is perpetually on fire?
I'm standing among you. Dude, my device just said I'm standing among you.
is this a ritual?
Huh?
Whoa. What if this
No.
entity has the power to
Again, I'm pretty sure it's just putting out random things that sound spooky and or ominous.
three spirits
They also never responded properly to use the board as if it, like the ghost, whatever the voice thing was talking about a Ouija board, and they don't have a Ouija board.
Stay here.
I don't like that. I said follow home.
Slam that door
Most efficient calorie source, and every animal will eat it if the opportunity arises. It's not if the opportunity necessarily. It has to be like a perfect opportunity.
What is going on?
Wait. Fear. Listen.
It doesn't mean you can't. It just doesn't mean that you're optimized for it. A horse's gut, as well as a cow's gut, is perfectly tuned to be able to gain the nutrients that it needs from an herbivorous diet.
It's not the.
Please tell me you're not about to tell me you have a vegan cat. Please tell me none of y'all are about to tell me you have a vegan cat.
Wait, I get what you're saying. There's no way it rattled because it's.
Tesla ghosts in the ghost world.
Is the window rattled?
I've ever seen in my years. I said the same thing about his mustache earlier. It looks fantastic.
So it was a window making the sound.
Yeah, usually a lot of older windows, doors, shit that has glass in it, it's not seated perfectly. So when the wind gust changes and the pressure changes inside the building, that glass will get pushed. So you'll hear it go thunk, thunk, thunk on occasion.
This is creepy as.
Correct, Newt. Correct.
There are others here. So that.
I mean, I don't like bears aren't technically obligate anything. They're like almost perfect omnivores. Fish, meats, animals, berries, sometimes twigs, depending on how bad like shit gets.
Okay, I watched that one with my eyes.
Is it perfect for them? No.
So
is it enough to nourish them to keep them alive? Yeah, for a bit.
Something about being a child, right? The device said 7.
But it's also like the most opportune food for them is when they're near a river and they can find fish. It's basically like the meat. Meat is basically the most bang for your buck, nutrition-wise, in the natural world. Because,
the candy room is
well, if you want to talk about like the,
what if we could get more
I believe it's the rule of tens.
I don't want to necessarily
essentially going down.
That's totally fine.
It's more. It's not like perfect rule of tens. It's more of like a hypothesis of tens. Essentially saying that like as you work your way up the Food Network, it essentially multiplies the energy available by 10. So like a bug that eats grass has about 10 times as much energy as the grass.
The reason why we should go to the candy room is because that's where the children would go to play.
An animal that eats the bug will essentially create about 10 times as much. Say a squirrel. Say a squirrel eats the bug, and then something eats the squirrel.
Dude, what if they
anything to stay alive? I'll eat the bear. I mean, it's not the worst possibility. I don't think I've ever had bear. I'd have bear if I given the chance.
I don't know.
I would have bear if given the chance.
Watch me.
I'm sorry, we've been side tangenting while this has been going on.
Dude, it's right here.
Yes, it is. And y'all are all standing here.
Watch me.
Ahead. Bad.
It did.
Bad.
It said what?
Ahead, his, and then mine just said bad.
All three now have parasites? Potentially,
Honestly,
yes.
Let's try. Let's make our way to the candy room.
Man's gonna eat the bear from Alone in the Dark. I don't think there's anything in there. I'm pretty sure it's just foam. It's like a 1920s taxidermy, which who knows what it's stuffed with. Doesn't mean you have 10 times as much energy.
Kid?
Not fully. It kind of depends. It's like the level of nutrition in terms of energy in this case. Calorie density, energy available, energy transferred.
Whoa! His device.
What happened?
It was fully charged. Were you just gonna
That would also be if you ate the entirety of the bear.
It was fully charged.
That's
the
giving.
Moment it started saying something.
Oh yes,
died.
Oh yes. Your bootleg kit made ghost box on your wrist is dead. Totally not because it either drained its own battery stupidly fast after being in here probably over an hour, since we're like 40 minutes into this, and who knows how long he's had it on, but like we haven't seen the footage for it. But also, wait, are they actually going to be in here 24 hours? Or you think they're only going to be in here for the night and they just slammed 24 hours on it to make it sound fake? Because I don't think we're going to see any investigation during the day.
It's even more weird.
I didn't say
In a food
anything
web
to
is
you guys,
at
but
is it
I had to run
10%?
out to get a battery for the microphone, and they're like, "How's it going down there?" I was like,
I don't
"Well, we were just about to how's it going down there?" I was like,
I don't
"Well, we were just about
fully
to
think
get
so.
started."
I'm basically talking on like concentration
That's
of
why most people don't film much down there.
nutrition and calories. There's a weird way to put this. It's been a long time since I've studied this exact thing.
Meaning, I'm assuming,
From eating roadkill. Oh, that's right. He did take a bear. No, he ate roadkill. He killed a bear and left it in Central Park, I think is what he did, didn't he? Like a bear cub.
EVP. EVP. Let's go do some EVP.
Don't even have the brand new Dark Carnival smartwatch for your talker apps. Oh, I just realized I locked my phone so the thing stopped
When we
speaking.
were grabbing the batteries, we were talking to the tour
Okay,
guide.
restart it.
So far, what we got, and out of nowhere, one of the other tour guides told.
Oh, okay. Was it the moose? I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure he had like a bear cub or something that he was going to eat and then realized he didn't want to eat it and he threw it in Central Park.
That is right near this room.
I'm really here. Okay, go ahead, convince me. Say something that would convince me, Ghost.
Forest painted on the wall. Oh, our device said I'm attached.
What is my name, Ghost? What is my name?
Things about children.
Chat, I'm gonna lose it if they get if this box suddenly gets right and I may have to recant things that I've said about this app. What is my name?
Dude,
so be
that
it.
means it's a full graph. That means something went all the way to that antenna.
Decentralizes your park? I mean, they did try to do that for the longest time before Central Park was made. It was originally supposed to be a whole bunch of smaller parks.
That'll give us the ability to hear what your voice sounds like.
But
So if you wanna
they
let us know
decided
any
that
information
making a
about
whole
who's
bunch of
here,
parks
or maybe if you
benefited too
can,
many people
tell us
and
about
wasn't
this
good enough for the
evil
wealthy. So they made it
Tell us why you
directly
were
in the
hiding.
most expensive
We want to also know if
area
you were
in
the
New York
one
City,
who was trying to warn
rather
us.
than building multiple green
Should we turn
spaces.
that off for now?
No, my name is not Late Ghost. My
I'm gonna go
name
ahead
is
and
not
ask
Late.
This question. In between this question, if you can, speak loud and clear.
No more
into this
Central
device
go-rounds?
right here in my hand.
Oh!
This is EVP number 1. If there is a child here,
Don't burn Teslas. We don't want that
can
shit
you
here.
let us
How do you feel
know
about Tesla,
where
Ghost?
you are right now?
Late go-rounds? That is not even close to my
We
name.
know somebody's here with us. How many people are in
All
this room
right,
with us
lecture on the sound box again. Hold on. Okay, you can kind of see it in the bottom right corner here. He's currently holding a Panasonic digital recorder. This specific digital recorder is from the 80s. It was panned. It was awful. It is largely described as the worst digital recorder ever made and didn't sell for longer than a year. Before that year was even up, Panasonic pulled it from the shelves and stopped selling it. And now it's sold for upwards, I've seen $300 on eBay for this particular digital recorder. Mind you, this recorder cost like $40 when it came out, when it first came out. It is garbage. But for some reason, people decided, oh, its shitty recording quality is not in fact because it's a shitty recorder. It's because it picks up the voices of the dead. Ooh. Anyway, that's what Ghost and Hunters, if you ever see this little gray square digital recorder you'll hear it in a second. It's going to sound absolutely awful. Is for.
Do you know anything
What are you
about the
manifesting? Can
man
you manifest
that
me
they
$1 billion
call the
from
Shadow?
Elon Schmucks? Mr. Musk, will you deposit $1 billion in my checking account, please? This is my banking number.
Do you like yo-yos?
Week, you should see the prices for high-value Baron Co bonds. You want like the older, more classic
All right.
ones?
So this back here is the replay button. We'll just try and see if we can.
I don't think we have.
What they said.
Sunstar, do you think there's some that we should bring back at some point? Sorry, I was yawning. I was speaking through a yawn. Yum, yum, yum. That is static. Do you see what I mean? They do the thing where they slap the text on it so that it sounds like those are the words.
7, 8.
Cool, Ghost. Glad to hear it. Since she started, Listen, I'm sorry I and ha so much. It's my thinking noise, okay?
Get back.
Why does it keeps panning to the cannibal horse? Cool. You had a good life, Ghost. Anything else?
Wait, do you hear that?
Huh?
Did you hear the yo-yo?
I'm gonna turn this off while they're doing the
It said,
like
"I like
the
yo-yo."
goofy ass
The
like
thing that makes
EVP
that
stuff.
hard in this room is sometimes it's hard to decipher things with that
But I
dripping.
didn't. It still sounded like
Because
static.
sometimes
This
I'm
shit
definitely
always
hearing
sounds like
something that
static to
sounds
me.
like a drip, and then it gets
And I
interrupted
swear
by
they
a
just
drip, and
tie
I'm like,
words
okay,
to
now
it.
I don't know anymore.
Should we try a set right outside of the room?
Maybe
If you don't keep an eye on it, it'll escape. Oh, just like Ordain.
Right there, the other room they were talking
Speaking
about.
of which, here, let me just go ahead and
Let's go over there. I'll go ahead and set it.
just
on
make
the
sure I
ground.
don't lose
We'll just all
him.
kinda squat. You guys with me?
There we go. There's our boy.
Ready? Yep. If somebody is nearby, can you see us?
Okay.
Are you one of the
All right.
spirits that
We just had to
were
make sure
with
Ordain
us
stays
over at
within
the
sight, so we're putting
crossroads?
him right there.
Whoever can hear my voice, will you scream for us? The shadow entity. What's your name? We're trying to
Oh my
summon
goodness.
you and give you
Sorry about the
power.
on chat. I'm really eepy. I was woken up early this morning and I ended up having to just like throw my pillow over the top of my head and sleep with it that way. Did that graffiti say you're a broom?
Over there.
Yeah, me too.
That sounded like a boot. I don't know, but
Chat,
I
which one of you is a
saw water
broom?
Prior to that.
Hands up.
Like rushing water, not like a drip. Like almost like there was plumbing, but there's not.
Let's get close.
I've been on Maird's channel more than my own. Listen,
Close like we know
it's
each other.
fine.
All
It's
right.
fine.
Here we go.
We just have to make sure we keep an eye on Ordain. He can't go running around. That's we're air jail, motherfucker. Air jail. Who told you I was a broom? I knew there was something weird floating around in all that goop. Nah, it's air jail time.
It's really hard.
Oh my goodness. Why do I keep yawning? Gotta sweep, sweep, sweep. Oh my goodness. Come on.
Whoa.
Ugh, my ears.
Sorry, one more.
See how sometimes they even struggle openly on like identifying anything? Joke's on you. I don't ever sleep properly, Ordain. Okay. Buddy, you gotta take better care of that tattoo. It's fading. Go buy some lotion.
What the f was
I
that
can
at the
also
end?
see how dry his hands are.
Right at the end.
That's weird.
Was that a delay to the scream
Sleep
question, or was
brink?
that a name?
Sleep brick?
Dude.
That's hard to understand.
I'm sorry, Lucian. No, I saw the sweep sweep. I saw the sweep sweep. Let me see. I don't think there's anything else I missed that much. Density of vitamins, nutrients, but 1/10 the calorie count per volume? Yes.
To the shadow question.
I don't know, but that's way creepier.
Global human population
Down the hallway
explosion would like to
right
participate in
next
this
to it.
conversation. Also true.
that
That's because
you?
potato is entirely
See, come
starches.
down here.
It has very little, very, very, very little
Say record again. and
actual
ask
nutritional
if they can
value other than
finish
keeping you
what they
full.
just said.
It keeps your brain powered and your body full, but other than that,
The
you can
last
still
question
waste
about
away
the
on a
dark
diet of
spirit.
potatoes.
Can you finish that sentence?
You
Or
need a
whatever
lot
you were
more.
saying?
Me pulling out melted cheese. It's time for cheese.
We started recording again.
Min don't know what lotion is, Marin? All right, Min in chat, sound off. How many of you don't use lotion?
I did.
Go ahead. I'll wait. And then I'm going to tell you a brand you should go get. Okay, wait. How many of you use lotion for skincare? Let me correct that. How many of you use lotion for skincare? Alongside tissues, lotion.
That is so hard.
Why do you think I'm correcting myself?
EVPs are like what we call grade A EVPs. Meaning that,
Grade
dude,
A
you
my
can
fucking
understand
foot.
Everything. This.
Yay,
This is, like,
music
so
box
difficult
plays
to
ominously in the
understand anything.
distance.
We might be able to during editing because we'll have headphones on and stuff. Might be able to figure out some of it, but as of right now, we
Garlic
have
bread.
no idea.
They could be saying like.
I use CeraVe. CeraVe is pretty good. It's good for a facial cleanser. Or facial moisturizer.
I don't think that's.
I use the CeraVe
At least
moisturizer.
that's not what I got from any of it.
Oh yeah.
He's just
what do
staring
you
at
do?
it.
I can't understand any of it.
So
I can't decipher. Well, I
Yes,
guess I
it could
can-
be
I
for
can
your
decipher. I can't
hands and for your
sure that
body.
they- To sacrifice me, but
Not for any other purposes other than applying it to your body so that your skin is soft and hydrated.
Oh,
Do you have a lotion?
But I guess I
If
can't
you
say it's
don't,
not
I'm telling the partner.
like not possible, but
I don't know how you got that number, but I'm just
Healing, hydrating for my hands? Okay, good.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, how about we go back into the candy room?
Yep, almost
try
ad
these
time.
other
I
devices,
see the ding donk. I see the
get
ding
any
donk.
more information, and then after that,
You don't gotta put it out of me, Odin! You don't gotta put it out! No,
We'll
I'm
see
just
what
picking on
kind
you.
of percentage Ash is feeling down there.
we got work to do.
I drink water. Good. But sometimes they can help more. Don't you want that little bit of glow?
we're back in this room.
Wait, was he just
Can you
showing that
come
his
and talk
phone
to
was
us,
on
please?
fucking...
Don't be afraid. This room.
Hold on. Was he just showing his phone was on airplane mode?
We're
Yes,
back
that's
in this
exactly
room.
what he was doing.
Can you come and talk to us, please? Don't be afraid. We don't mean any harm.
That makes sense. Yeah, Working Hands is a pretty good brand.
How many people are in this
That
room?
and like Tiger
It did sound
Balm.
like an answer when we asked that question too.
Are there any children in here? Are you still playing?
I'm sorry. It's fun to terrorize Ordain like this. Alright, Ordain, are you gonna go sit in your chair? If I put you down, are you gonna go sit in your
Make
chair?
yourself known, please. Are you still hiding from the entity?
Be honest.
Frequently. Whoa.
Cheetah. The
Are you
cheetah.
near this bed right here?
Music.
Because you sometimes forget. I know. It's usually when I'm playing a game is when I like don't notice it.
Music window. You like that music down the hallway?
Destroy the magic. No more ringleader control. Too bad. You
What
can't
about the
stop
music
me.
and window?
You
Is that
destroyed
where
my
the entity
control.
is?
The entire circus goes down,
We're just
baby.
trying to figure out what you're...
Shrivels down to nothing.
So you're talking about the entity, right? Who
A
you
bunch of
were
random
warning
men
us
enter the
about?
building and start asking if there
one you were
are
hiding
children. I mean, they're in a room with like small beds and toys,
Do you all
and the
stay
room
here?
is kind of painted whimsically.
I like...
Whimsically.
Watch out, witchcraft.
Like one of the pillars was painted like a tree. If y'all didn't notice that earlier.
We'll stay. Would you like that?
All right, Ordain. You gotta go behave. Go behave.
Do you believe
Good
we're
luck.
real?
Good luck,
With
boss man.
emotion?
Jesus Christ, he's fast.
Yes,
He's already
we do.
gone. What the fuck?
Why would you ask that?
Maybe there's something that you can
Marin
do
go.
to prove
Arson,
that you're here
no!
with us.
You just see that dog's head turn.
A new hierarchy for the new circus? No. This is my circus.
Stare at you and say,
My show. My guess.
is there actually a demonic entity?
Chat. I think you may be getting a little too hot for your britches. Do we need to have a talk about this? I forgot I added the Bugs Bunny hours. No. My show, my carnival, our experience, our fun. Britches, joke's on you. I'm naked. Gross. I'm innocently healing. Just a dust cloud when Marin puts me down like in those cartoons. Oh yeah, it's just as soon as the hand lets go, gone. Yeah, our fun. Wait, do I don't think I have it. Shit. I don't have that on the soundboard. I'm so upset. I'm so upset about that. All right. Let's do this. Tell me your secrets.
Any attitude. Now I'm giving attitude.
Giving
Is
out?
that demonic entity real?
What do you mean?
Are they actually...
Hopeless.
I feel hopeless.
Hopeless. Why do you feel hopeless, ghost?
Why? Can you not protect yourself? We want to protect you.
Nuh-uh.
That's exactly what was happening.
Okay.
That's kind of scary that I said I.
What about Tetris theme? Oh no.
Is this entity not allowed in here?
Ghosts are just sad. They just need someone to talk to. Chat. We're gonna do the benefit of the doubt and say there is like an overlapping spiritual realm where they're actually communicating with deceased people. What do you think this room looks like?
Empathy.
If the people that died here are haunting here,
Can you touch that thing really hard?
wouldn't they
with your
all
arm?
be
Or
the
really close to it?
what was this place called again? Enfeebled? Basically what I'm guessing,
Shut up.
folks with like mental problems, genetic issues, probably extreme versions of autism that we didn't know of yet. And they were essentially just like left here to rot and not really develop as a person.
Can you tell
So
us
like,
something about this darker
like maybe the
entity?
epileptic
Do you
people
know
would probably
anything
be
about
mostly
him?
fine. But like, do you
So many
talk to your
people are
local ghosts
scared
and
of
keep
this
them
man.
comfy? No.
He shows himself as a shadow-like mask.
I cast Ghost Bullet. Oh no.
Dog's ears just went up and then down.
Oh my god, that'd be so crazy.
It's so funny to me when they do the things where like, what if this happened? I don't know. What if, dude?
What? There's one thing I actually heard.
Our mighty republics will ever endure.
What?
Oh my goodness.
Hearing from a
Or sing the version of La Internationale. La Internationale.
You can. You mean to bark at it? Yeah.
Good song. Good song. I said no barking! There's no barking in this stream.
I've been a dog before.
Is that what, Ordain? Is that a car? Why do you have a car?
Can you move one of these toys?
Where did you get a car?
Have enough energy to do that?
Bro.
All right, chat, get your guns. It's time to execute Sunstar for the 6th time. I'll go make Sunstar the 7th after stream.
I thought that was
I'll stitch back together another one.
I don't know if the
Maybe I'll
children
make
are
this
talking
one out of
about
2 and
us.
3.
They said
I don't
that
know.
they're trying
We'll
to
see.
protect us, right? What if they just told the entity to leave?
Octopus noises. All right, there's the ad break. There's the ad break, you guys. Let me go ahead and give you words on stream. Again, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm still going to be here. I'll turn on the music too. But I want to see why the fuck I have so many notifications. Okay. It was nothing. It was literally just stray servers and all their pings. I don't know. I just found it one day. It's just in my driveway. Octopus noises. Gurgling noises. By Sunstar. You'll be remembered, Sunstar. Don't worry. I'll piece you back together later. It'll be fine. You'll be dandy. Octopus noise 2? Octopus noise 2? What is that? Is that just a... Can you at least see the good parts from 2 and 3? It depends. It depends on what I have left. It entirely depends on what I have left and the mod bucket. I will have to check the mod bucket. I still have like 60 pieces of carry. It's me blowing bubbles. Like, I lost count at how many carries we're at, but hold on. Let me see. Hold on a second. Okay, there's still an arm in the corner over here. This one has tag 289. Okay, so there's at least that many carriers that I've had to either piece back together or reiterate and reincorporate. Carrie keeps going pop when she eats too much. There's one thing I could never get out of the fucking genetic coding or regular coding is her insatiable hunger. So she eats until she pops. Ghosts dying in the background. It's fine. We'll actually do one more. Why not? Even if it's 30 seconds. We'll do one more. Don't tell me we need to clean again! No, I think she's fine. I think Carrie's fine right now. I mean, she hasn't said much today, so maybe may want to go check her room. Redundancy. Always redundancy. But I can't risk having more than one carry running around at a time. Our food budget can't handle that. Why did I feel like I just got a whiff of like cat litter or some shit? I don't have a cat. Maybe somebody lit a candle and that's what I'm smelling. Nope, ain't going anywhere near that since last time. Oh boy. All right. You do now. No, fuck, I don't. It's not up to me. And I know the people who are also here don't want a cat. D is fake. Yeah, if raccoon is the word, then D is the fake one. Because usually the largest word is all of the letters used that are relevant. Ghost cat? No. Did Coco bring in a cat? No, there's not really any stray cats around here. I've never seen any feral cats around here. There's way too many wild animals. We have like owls and stuff and coyotes. So we can't exactly... You don't really want to leave your pets outside overnight. Yes, the D. Oh, raccoon and raccoon? Oh, no. No! How could you? Chat, no, you botched it. You botched it. How could you? All right, let me go ahead and get this back up so I can see it. All right.
Were you telling the entity to leave?
We just want to be sure.
Binch.
If you really want us to go, we will. We apologize. We're trying to understand.
Bum, bum, bum.
Do you want Ash to bark again?
Exclamation mark.
What?
Sunstar? I may have, how you say, not done something.
I thought that was you.
Toes, not me.
How the fuck is this one allowed? That's a good question. Probably just hasn't been caught. Again, that's Finzy's emotes. Finzy has a lot of emotes, and I don't think Finzy's that big. Is she? If it's the same Finzy I'm thinking of.
Do you know where that is?
Yes, Ordain.
This is weird. Whoa.
Doesn't care about the themes anymore. I forgot about it, but we're already 3 hours in. Can we have a day without fish? Is that okay? Is it okay to have... Oh no, people have been spending bits today. Fuck. Oh, now I feel bad.
Shut the dude.
Now I feel bad.
Is this the entity now?
Fishless is godless. We don't need gods where we're going. We don't need gods this carnival, baby.
Go quiet.
Should we look at that paper?
The fish are gonna die? Well, I mean, y'all are catching them over and over and over again.
That entity can hear us.
And or Ordain, who keeps taking them home. God knows I don't think he's eating them.
All right, Ash.
Gotta refund all the fish bits. Nobody's like purposely said they were doing it for the fish.
My happy place. Yes. Different device.
No gods in this carnival, baby. This is a pocket dimension. This is all mine.
I'm so curious what this name is, dude. If it's something that we've gotten tonight, I'm gonna freak out.
I doubt it.
First before reading it, or read it.
I mean, what was the first one they had? We had a name earlier. It was...
Mind you, we do not know the name yet.
One name that was on the card was David.
David.
It's the same one. Y'all saw that one earlier.
Or Dave.
Whoa. We have not gotten that tonight.
Weren't we told to not?
All yours, so godless is Marinless. What? What?
David.
Are you worshiping me? Is that what this is? Are we starting a religion?
I'm sorry.
Is the stream going to become tax exempt?
Is
Cat?
this David in the room with us?
Cat.
So that means all
The one accused of taking the fish? You're the one who goes fishing a lot. And I know I've seen you carry the fish away with you when you're done fishing.
How many names did we get?
Are we sure that we didn't get David?
Quite a few.
No, y'all had Christopher earlier. At least like the word on the card was always David. But the name that one of the machines said was Christopher. Or was that mine? Am I misremembering? Was that mine that said Christopher?
Are you okay?
No, did you not just hear that? Shut the f up, guys.
Was it a door? But I couldn't tell if that was him getting up.
Here, down here, when people go looking for him.
The whistling?
Hmm?
As loud as you can possibly whistle, a whistle just as loud just came out of the hallway.
You heard it too, Riff?
I heard it clear as day.
They buried me here.
Whistle in and out.
Really loud?
What kind of whistle is that, man?
Okay, I'm parched.
Did we just whistle the same tune? No way.
Loud?
No, okay.
Okay,
I did like the whistle opening to some song that I can't remember off the top of my head. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Fuck, what is that song?
We said your name.
It's not never gonna give you up.
Can you show us now?
No, it's.
Yeah.
Is it One Night?
Looking
Is that
all
the
weird
song?
and creepy.
You'll see me.
Wait. I want to
Looking
see
all
that
weird
again.
and creepy.
Bigfoot ass moments. Holy shit, what did I play today? And Despeluca Puercas, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How are you doing? Welcome to the show. I'm sorry. Hold on. I want to see that again.
Yeah, go ahead.
He just waddles over, arms out.
Looking all weird and creepy.
You'll see me.
I cast 5 unskippable ads on YouTube for that one alone. How could you? Thank you for self-care. What are you up to, Play?
It sounded farther. You lose. Uh-oh.
You shouldn't be dead. I mean, maybe if you're supposedly a ghost from the mental asylum, then yeah, you probably died of neglect and you definitely should not be dead. But granted, that also means that you're probably in like your 80s.
We are afraid.
And sadly, it's not often folks with mental disabilities make it to that age.
Here we come. We want to hear it now.
There's usually like other kind of degradations that tend to develop over life that makes it really hard.
I know I heard that.
Hardtack?
So loud.
Oh my goodness. Hardtack? I didn't even see where that popped up. I don't know where that popped up.
I'm glad that you heard it because when I heard it, none of you guys heard it. And I told you, I said, I swear I heard it.
Imagine 5 to 10 unskippable ads. I still think of the times that hold on. Goodness. I still think of the times that I've gotten ads on YouTube that are literally entire movies. Have y'all gotten those? Where there's just whole ass movies being played as ads? Like full hour-and-a-half movies?
It literally sounded like it was right here.
Didn't they do that with the Lego movie at one point? Wasn't that happening with the Lego movie? Anybody remember?
What more can we do to give you some power?
2 hours being the longest. Ugh.
That's weird.
I know I've had like whole documentaries too come up as ads and I have to skip them.
Oh, shit, maybe. I don't know because that audio sucks, bro.
Chad, do you think someday we should watch the Earthlings documentary?
Are we sure that we didn't get David?
Why the fuck did you just blind yourself and me with that flash?
Shut the
What the He will come. Are you dead?
All right.
That's not a whistle.
All right.
That's not a whistle. That's a chair moving.
Are you okay?
That's a chair moving or something metal rubbing on the concrete.
Guys.
Cuts to Johnny
Okay,
Silverhands. Oh no.
Would you talk to us if we turned all the lights off?
For a YouTube channel
you
once
like
and it was
the
the B
tunnel as
movie in
well.
Spanish for some reason. That's
sense
hilarious. And here's the B movie in 40 seconds. I mean,
Bold. Like you're bold.
there is the 7TV emote that is the entire B movie. Here, real quick. We'll do a little side tangent from this. Let me see. 7 TV emotes. B movie. All right, there it is. All right, chat. Congratulations. You have the entirety of the B movie at your disposal. Okay. Wahoo and scooted a chair. That's I could kind of hear that, but no, it definitely sounded like something rubbing on something than a whistle. This is the true carnival movie night.
Like it's cussed at people before, and then it just says.
Oh no!
Gold. Is he calling us a bunch of wussies right now?
What I have right here in my hands is a single grain of rice, where I inscribed the entire script of Pixar's B movie.
Yeah, the tunnels.
Now I will do it to all 1 billion pieces of these rice and sell it to an orphanage. And subliminally instill the B movie into all of their child's brains. Positively
just tapping along the wall.
Devilish.
I don't think I'm tripping, dude. I swear I heard that.
Oh, right. We're doing movie night tonight, aren't we? We're watching The Omen. I had forgotten about that for a little bit. That definitely means I need to get something to eat after stream today before I come back.
Wait, what?
It's DreamWorks, you're right. I always mix up Pixar and DreamWorks.
Oh, danger high.
All the time.
God, dude, look to your left in that door.
Okay, I
Is
don't
it-
like that.
Leave.
Wait, what?
Leave. Again.
Wait, what? Oh, it's the mannequin, isn't it?
Hello? We're gonna go to the tunnel.
Or
We're gonna turn the lights off.
wait, was that?
Complete darkness. Meet us there, or be square. Okay. I guess it's time to go lights out
Oh,
and go to the tunnel.
the tunnel.
We've made it down into the tunnel. Right now, we are nowhere close to the middle of it, but we're gonna go our separate ways. Ryan and Ash are gonna go for a walk.
Okay.
See how far they make it before something inevitably scary happens, and they turn around and come back sprinting towards us. And me and River are just gonna hang out by the exit and relax and wait.
We'll be the safe ones. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Huh? No, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna go touch the butt, and it's gonna be no problem. It doesn't even look that. Okay, it looks a little scary, actually. And I don't know if anyone realizes, but it's pitch black in here. I don't know how it looks so light on here.
Here, I'll show.
That's probably the night vision.
The best part is the longer you stare at the screen, your eyes are not adapted to the dark. So when you look up, you can't see anything.
I can't see shit.
All right. Good luck.
I don't want to trip. I can't see.
All right. I just want to make sure I went and made the event in Discord for later tonight because I forgot to do it yesterday or the day before. Universal owns DreamWorks. Yeah.
Relax, buddy.
Sorry to mean it.
Do you know who also owns Universal?
The two of us are making our way to the end of the tunnel.
But I'm gonna trip over myself.
If you are over there, come and speak
Hi,
to us,
Soundwave. How
please.
are you doing? Welcome in.
Okay, if anyone can hear me.
Does that
my
hoodie
name's
have cat
River, and
ears?
This is Wyatt. And we would like to have a conversation.
Okay.
I have no idea. Did I miss that until now? Did that hoodie have cat ears? That fuzzy ass hoodie has had cat ears this whole time.
Nightmare.
Stop it. Stop.
Took a vacation, came home, played on the new VR headset for 12 hours straight. Now my body's 12 hours on VR. I would collapse.
Okay, can you agree
I say that,
with
but
me
I also play
this, like,
Expert Plus
feels a
on
little bit
Beat
like a
Saber.
Freddy Krueger situation?
So I'm usually fucking absolutely
Okay, so it's not as
sweaty
pitch black right here.
and done
It's
after
a
like
very,
30
very
minutes.
dim red, and I don't know if that's better than pitch black because it's kind of scarier, but at least I can see a little bit. Yeah,
I was on Gorn. Gorn? What is Gorn?
Possess. Stop it. Possess.
Cat ears in the Sheepcoat Carnival? What do you mean? Sunster, are you telling me you want me to make a furry model? Is that what this is? Do you want sheep go round?
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, you get two options. You get one, sheep go round, or two, the what it would essentially be a VTuber model of IRL me as a bartender.
It was in there, but it was probably scary. It was probably top notch. There was probably a full apparition.
God, the echoes. Jesus,
And
the
instead,
echoes.
You look what you did.
Okay, listen. The device just said hiding.
Someone down there?
Are you hiding? Is the little kid gonna peek around the corner and make me shit a brick?
Maybe we can have the conversation.
We were looking for David.
Is the Moana?
Does anybody know where he is?
What are you doing, Corvo?
Hidden?
Yeah. Whoa, dude.
Horns or cat ears? I don't think they're horns. I really don't think they're horns.
Big shadow.
Sheep go round, both. Sheep bartender?
Did you just say that?
Maybe.
Why is he hiding?
Gladiator VR game that's fun as hell.
Anything in there?
Ooh.
Wait. Are those legs?
Keep going.
Are those legs?
We're gonna keep going. Sorry.
I like that they just skipped it. They're just, are those legs? Nah. Nah. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, dude.
Buddy, I don't know what I'm looking at on the camera screen. Everything looks scary.
I just go back. I was doing groceries. Ooh. I'm probably gonna have to go get some groceries later because I need to get. Unless I want to make pizza dough again
You don't think? Yeah.
and I'm willing to wait, I think what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna make some fried pizza pockets.
Bro, okay, can you do me a favor? You're literally crunching me up against the damn wall.
Okay, because maybe I need to touch it.
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get like the Pillsbury Doughboy pizza dough that they have in like the refrigerated section.
A barrel.
A barrel?
And I'll make pizza pockets out of it.
Okay, slowly. Be careful with these.
Yeah, either way, I was having fun. And long story short, I was on it for 12 hours.
With David. I think.
12 hours of VR. I would get a headache. That's impressive. That's just blatantly impressive.
Thanks, that's a lie.
Follow you.
How bright do you think their phone screen is whenever they do this? Do you think they actually turn the brightness down?
Bye, Ash.
Go by me. No, don't say that. Oh, God.
And then
I don't want to do like this.
he's getting so scared. For somebody who came in who's like, I never thought I would do this. And no, I don't believe anything. He's so scared. It's so cute.
Walkway, bro. A catwalk.
Now? Why now?
No. David, you cannot follow us. You cannot attach yourself to us. Say your name. That's all we want.
I'm gonna eat it, but I still haven't eaten lunch. I forgot the word. Supper? Lunch?
We can.
Do you have chorizo?
Oh, it just said wait.
Take a bunch of cheese.
Whale?
Cook the chorizo, throw a bunch of cheese on top of it, let it melt, and then use a tortilla to scoop that shit up.
Okay, listen. I'm not.
Awesome. Awesome. Waka.
Huh? Said sacrifice?
Extra butter croissanto is pizza dough. It's super good.
Speak to us.
Maybe. I may want to check to see if my mozzarella is still in there because somebody made enchiladas a couple nights ago and they used a lot of cheese for it. I don't think they used mozzarella for it, but it's better safe than sorry.
We can give him power. I don't know if I believe in that.
We'll be everywhere after 12 hours of VR. Maybe.
That was not me.
Oh, we had a stomp, or was that the plastic? Hold on.
That was a door.
Hold on.
That was not me.
Was that a door, or was that like the plastic flaps? Like those plastic flaps there, they get pretty loud. I've worked in places where I have to walk through those like quite a lot. And whenever they like swing or get pushed by the wind and they slam back, they are loud.
That was a door. That was a knock
Odd
on
clicking
the door.
sounds. It's not a ghost, it's an alien. Man.
He's coming for you.
No. Don't run. Wait, I hate to lie.
It reaches the door, he's coming for y'all.
Where'd you go?
Listen, I get more scared from watching Outlast. Somebody play like the first Outlast.
Where'd you go?
Just behind him.
Sorry, I was just standing still. He backed up like perfectly.
I don't like this.
Just whispers in his ear. Hello.
Not like this.
Or you will not sacrifice, perhaps. Okay.
Chat, do you think it's poor practice to go scare the shit out of people on ghost hunts?
Move ahead.
84 steps.
Do you think it's poor practice to sneak around in the dark and scare the shit out of people?
What did it say?
I'm in the room.
Can we turn around?
You mean like
What
you're
if?
near us?
But what if? Nah, that's the best practice. Can you imagine if somebody made a content channel that their sole purpose was to actually
Why?
Like, if they like lived near like one of the most famous haunted places that like big paranormal investigators basically come to almost on like a weekly basis, and you would just sneak in and wait there all night just so that you can spook the shit out of them.
Satanic? I don't want to go further then. How am I supposed to leave? But I don't want to go.
Chat, if I had superpowers, that's the kind of shit I would do. That's the kind of shit I would do. I would do like the shit where like I walk across the end of a hall like as a person, and then I would like dip into a room and like turn into a rat or something and go hide somewhere.
10 feet above.
Do shit like that. They're like turn into a fly.
Yes.
And then turn into a person behind them and scare the shit out of them because I'm like in the camera, and then disappear again by the time they turn around. Oh, it'd be so good. Oh, it'd be so good.
David.
Are you gonna change the world as a superhero? Nah, I'm gonna fuck with YouTubers.
Why?
I'm gonna fuck with YouTubers, dude. It's over. It's over.
Yeah, but dude.
The ghost just pranking you instead of actually causing ill will. No. I've never felt anything like that going to ghost hunts, and I've been to a couple. Not just the ones inside my own house. Mage hobbies. Mage hobbies.
Well,
where's Hectic? Hectic, sound off. Are you still listening?
I killed people.
That's not what it said.
Yes. 12 people.
Hectic. Hectic.
Who is this? Curse. Wonderful.
God, the way that they fucking picked up those plastic flaps and just stuck them through the door, it's a bad idea.
We're gonna try
That's just gonna fall with the slightest breeze. That's gonna scare the shit out of anybody that's inside.
We're gonna close our eyes. We're gonna say
When I was
your
a kid,
name 3 times.
When I was a kid, the house I grew up in, we had paranormal investigators come in.
I don't know if I can.
And they a couple weeks later they went and investigated the Dr. Pepper Museum. And during an interview with the local news place, they said that the most haunted place they'd ever been to was my house. The house I grew up in. I'd never had any experiences.
You okay? Yeah, hold on. Let me just touch this back wall. Wait, I've got to do it too. Look, this is an exit.
And I've been in 2 investigations inside that house, being part of it. I was also at an investigation down the road at an old abandoned, abandoned, cleaned out, and soon to be restored movie theater.
Puppy's not here. I think we should just head back.
I'm talking like really, really old movie theater, like all wooden floors, wooden ceilings, a stage.
The darkest place I've ever been in my life.
Wow, Ash really doesn't get out that much. Have you not been to a cave and when they turn out the lights? That shit is horrifying.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Come.
Okay, all right.
What do you say?
He's scared.
I was in fact the haunting. I figured out where all of the rivets were, all of the beams. So if I knocked or tapped on things, it would echo down the hallway.
There was a bang right here.
I was also the one who goofed with them at the movie theater because I figured out how to throw my whistle.
Well, now it feels
And I would throw it because it was all wooden. Things would echo super easily. And I figured out how to throw it to the top balcony. So all the time they kept thinking that there was like crazy activity. And then, because jokingly, the ones who did the movie theater were actually relatives of my best friend in high school. And so we were hanging out outside listening when we weren't going in for the investigations. And they would take other groups in, and they would come out, and I get to hear them be like, wow, it really kind of stopped being active after that last one. I don't know what's going on. Also, hi, Aunt Gabo.
I'm looking at
Have you heard of Duck Detective? I have not. I know duck sauce. I don't even know what duck sauce tastes like. I don't think I've ever had anything with duck sauce. I've never had a reason to.
Trying to catch up.
Random, but listen, that's what came to mind.
Why is my device not saying anything?
What do you mean not saying anything?
Whoa, dude.
It's obvious it's not going to say anything. It just takes pauses.
Demon, not man. Seance.
There is no seance.
What?
Hi, Cecil. How are you doing?
Yes, Brent, you know what? I love that idea. Actually, go home. That's like a perfect send-off. Let's get through the
I like how nervous he's getting throughout this whole thing.
Thank you for the warning.
Send the guy who just plays indie horror games in to go play it. He gets put in the game and he's already ready to scamper.
We're not going to be spending.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm having a good day.
David, Ryan,
There's Carrie.
he ain't scared of you.
Carrie, I'm gonna use some of your old spare parts.
Say that again?
We gotta patch Sunstar together. He's become defective. We're moving on to the next iteration of
And
Sunstar.
also that you called David a little. and I never would have said that. But Ryan, probably not. See? Yeah, see, he knows I would never say it. David Ryan said it. He said a little bit.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
Coming back,
Those are ears, and I didn't even realize it, but that is a trench coat. That is a fuzzy trench coat with cat ears. These guys are such fucking goofballs, dude. Okay, met back up.
That was awful, guys. You know what the worst part is? At one point, you step onto a catwalk above a drop-off, and it is pitch black.
I mean, yeah, it's pitch black, but it's also only like a foot and a half off ground level.
Or the darkness completely, and
it's literally just a utility bridge.
It's not my favorite.
Wait, that's crazy. How far does it go down?
Probably like 5-10 feet, but it's still scary.
Well, it's an incline that goes 5 to 10 feet, but you only go down maybe 2 feet. A foot and a half to maybe 2 feet.
I'm just gonna say it. I cheated death just now.
You know what's funny?
Agree. Say? It knows.
I don't know why. There's always he's probably not making this joke, but I'm used to having like big fat guy friends that make jokes like it's like something minor, like they have to like go down a ramp or take the stairs, and they'll be like, "Oh, I almost died there for a second."
I just want to say thank you.
And it just reminded me of those jokes. I had a buddy I scared once. I wouldn't say I scared him. He like slipped on the staircase.
A car going by.
And he only slipped down like one chair, but step. He said he slid down like one step, but like fell backwards into me, and I like kind of caught him, and he was like, "I almost died right then. Thank you for saving my life." And I was like, "Get up, you idiot!"
Well, I'm gonna myself then.
Faux gloves.
You can't see how far down it is. That's true. That's very true. But I'm pretty sure they can see in the cameras, because otherwise they wouldn't know to point it at themselves.
She said, "Shut it, foxglove."
Well, I'm pretty sure they're using like a UV only light, and they can't see shit. They would still have to be able to see themselves in the camera to be able to point it at each other.
We are afraid.
Afraid of what?
Yeah, bro, we heard someone knock on it.
What'd you do, David? What trouble did you get into, David?
Did you just say
Okay, we're at an hour 15. Got it. Fear me!
Whoa.
Ignore me!
I'm just kind of over here by myself.
Fear me, chats! Before chat just starts being really nice to me instead.
Coming in.
You're not even at the door.
But chat, we haven't even hit 50% yet, so that we spend the wheel punishment every $10. Chat, the wheel punishment, chat.
Look here.
Mannequin.
Come look at this.
Is the mannequin? It looks more like a foam.
Whoa!
I thought he was a mannequin for a second.
He has his eye on you. Dude.
That just said, "Look here, ghost hunter. He has his eye on you."
What are the
There's
odds
no way
I
it
would
said
open
ghost
that
hunter.
door and that's just right in there?
I don't like it.
What is it?
Did you see it?
What would
Did
the
you see it?
scariest thing be when you
Did you
open a
see
door?
it?
Probably.
Of course I saw it.
Naked looking
I
man?
see everything.
Because that's what's there.
The mannequin got you too? That's hilarious.
There's stairs that go up.
You too
Actually,
silly?
we
It's
could
something
come
that strikes
check this out,
fear?
dog.
Ordain. Are you talking
Why
about
is it
yourself
covered
again?
like that?
Yeah, I'm not going in there, bro. I'm ready to go.
I posted a pic of the duck? Duck. Duck.
We're gonna be leaving. Thank you again.
You have no permission to follow any of us home. You stay here.
Ash almost just broke our new device.
Hold on now. It is pitch black. Come here. Get your goddamn night vision
Okay,
off.
where did you...
Did you hear that?
It said, "Come here."
Dude.
That's not
Ash
it.
is so done, he's all the way over there.
Oh yeah, dude. Have you been hearing the shit that's been said? You can't follow me home with no permission, and I mean that. So just make sound behind me, guys. Come on, it's time.
So, sir, would you do me a favor? Would you go look at the person who just posted in, not general chat. Wait, where did they post it?
Dude, it's making more sounds. What's there?
They posted it in story suggestions. He's trying to sell a charger or give away a charger for some reason. I don't like that.
He's scared.
It's like the first thing he said. He comes into the server earlier today and is trying to give away a charger.
I'm sorry.
I am hiding. Is that what that just said?
Sure did.
Yes, I know what a reborn baby is.
You can stay hiding.
But he posts it in story suggestions.
Get out of here, and then let's end it.
Yep. Okay, what do you think? We start flicking lights
No,
on?
he says he's giving it away because it's old and he doesn't need it anymore because he got a new laptop. But we don't do anything like that in this server, which is why it's even weirder.
What are you? You're shooting my.
I'm shooting the flashlight that you're hiding.
I'm not hiding anything. We're gonna leave.
I do not know who that person is either.
Okay, I do not like these tunnels. Come on, guys.
Name, string of numbers,
Yeah,
is
you
it?
cannot follow us home.
His name,
specifically,
his thing is
especially
literally
me.
just okay. It is. Sunstar, get the gun.
What, you got a looking problem? What's happening?
Just never read it properly. It's really weird.
Yeah, pop that honey on.
Was May the 1st of April.
Oh, look at that. What is this here?
It's very weird when you pop into a Discord server and the first thing you do is trying to get rid of an item
I wasn't hiding. Your
where you would
flashlight.
potentially need somebody's address.
Dude, Ash is bullying me, man.
I'm not bullying. I feel like I've been targeted by ghosts. Someone call me foxgloves.
All right, Sunstar, let me know when you have successfully loaded and fired the gun.
Okay.
We made it
our
out.
way
Thank God.
out
That
of the
totally
tunnel.
wasn't an
I
option.
think tonight was amazing. What do you think?
You guys do some creepy shit. I'll say that. And this was actually a wild experience. And I'm happy I came. I don't know.
Listen, guys, if you ever see,
No, this was.
if I'm talking to these guys, River, if you guys fucking ever
Like I
see
said
me,
earlier
see
tonight,
this bot
so
or
many
something,
patients, so many
give me a
people
call. I
were
would
here
kill.
at one
I would
point
kill
in
to do
time.
something with
Lots of
this with
people
y'all.
died. So I feel like
And I
a lot
promise
of
I will take it
spirits were
completely
trying to come in
seriously.
contact with us,
Completely.
but I do believe that the
Chat,
children
you
were
would probably
trying to
get a
warn
face
us
reveal
of
at this.
entity. Whether this
You would
entity's
probably
name is actually David,
indirectly
we
get a
don't
face
know,
reveal from
but
this.
We do believe that there was something that was definitely threatening. We had a good ass night, and
Yeah, it happens when you have new
thank
people
you
coming
for
in.
coming with us. Our chemistry is amazing, and I bet a lot of you would agree.
PCG, so
With
they
all
can get the
that
money
being
on
said,
government
if
gives
you're
to-
not subscribed to
oh.
this channel, yet you keep finding yourselves coming back, or you are new and you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Also, let's get this video to 50,000 likes if you guys want to see us do another investigation with Ash. Either he chooses it, or we go somewhere even scarier.
He looks so
And I have
scared.
something
The fear just
Scary.
welled up in his
50,000,
eyes.
Let's up that to 100,000. It's scarier. 100. Boop, boop.
You heard him. If you guys can, please go down in this video's description. Follow Ash's pages, his channel.
No.
Everything. Show some love, guys. Also, let him know in any of his comments. Let him know where you guys are coming from.
My
Ghost
man is
gang,
pissing
baby.
himself.
Thank you guys. And thank you, Ghost Gang, for having me as well. I appreciate it.
Ghost
It was
Gang.
wild. I'm sure
Do they wait? Have I never realized that they call their
I've not had
audience
that
the
much fun
Ghost
in a
Gang?
long time with somebody, so it's been a while since we've done like a collab, and it was really awesome. How do you
I think
feel
it's because
now?
we
I
jump
can't
around
say that
is why I think we see like way more of their collabs. So like if we go like over here. Yeah, okay. So it looks like they do show 3 months ago. 1 month ago. Okay, so that's only like a 2-month difference. Listen, guys, if you want to be the first oh no, Papa Mutt took that. I was gonna say if you want to have the first VTuber paranormal investigator, let me know. Unfortunately, though, I don't have any IRL camera equipment, which really sucks. So this would just be for them. This would just be for them. At least it isn't Baby Ghoul. That's true. That's very true. But, chat, we are 3 hours and 40 minutes into stream, which means it's time to go. It's time to go. I need to get some food before our movie night tonight. You have a phone camera enough? Ooh. Baron's leaving again? No, I will see you later tonight. If y'all are still in here and you haven't joined the Discord, I do highly recommend joining it. We are going to be watching a movie later tonight. We're going to be watching The Omen, the 1976 original The Omen. The Omen will actually lead into one of the videos I plan on making sometime in the future. So if you want to get a little bit in on that and figure out what this video may end up being about, I do recommend checking out our movie nights. Next Thursday is National Day Off. Whee! Join the Discord. We cast spells. Yeah, they do spell battles in the general chat. It is honestly kind of entertaining. Not even The Good Omen with our happy gay couple. I've seen both seasons of that show. It's pretty good. If y'all haven't seen that show, I do recommend watching it. But we usually do horror movie nights. So unfortunately, Good Omens is not a horror movie. But we need to figure out who to raid. Looks like Anna's taking a break. Don't know who that is. Playing Mario Kart. Voices. Art. How about... to expand the library then? Uh-oh. I mean, I do have access to a lot of movies, but I want to do horror stuff with y'all. But because I want to catch up on like my backlog of horror movies, especially with some of these classics. But I'm not finding anybody I really want to for sure raid. Let me see. We may raid Naomi, I think. But because none of the usual homies are... Wait, Ash is playing video games? Chat, the zombie is playing video games. All right, hold on. We're raiding the zombie. Okie dokie. Don't mind the chaos in general chat. We kind of just fire up spells at random. It's fine. It's fine. But... oh, good lord. Why is Kitty a Furby? Anyway, what do we want to use for emotes, chat? What do we want to use for emotes? Here, we're gonna do the gun emote. We're gonna do ghost hunt this. That's gonna be the raid message, you guys. If you don't have my gun emote, feel free to use any other gun emote. That is totally fine. I will see you actually tomorrow, not here, but over at Hectic Stream. We're gonna be playing Mage the Ascension. I will be pinging the Discord whenever we go live for that at 11 a.m. CDT. And then I will see you probably either Sunday or Monday. We're probably having Vampire this Sunday. But if I don't see you for the TTRPGs this weekend, I will see you on Monday morning at noon. Until then, though, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for being awesome. And thank you for enjoying the show. Good night.